Okay, so we're good to go. Do you need sound checks or anything? Okay. I'm just gonna... Are they? They're following behind like everybody, right? Okay. So you guys will have to. You're gonna follow the crowd and everything like this, and we're gonna meet you guys up at the first enclosure. Okay. So, and feel free to, like, during the tour, ask questions and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm wired right now.
You should have seen when he found out that you were going to be here all day today.
Oh, I can imagine he was excited. I was surprised to see him and not.
Well, she went home. Well, not home.
Oh, yeah. He's like, oh shit, he can't screw around or fuck off now today, huh? Nice. Yeah. All right. Good morning, everybody. First of all, is this anybody's first time here to the rescue? Okay, cool. Do we have any repeat offenders? Anybody who's been here before? Awesome. So you're our favorite kind of humans. Thank you for coming back. So feel free to ask questions along the tour. I'm going to try to keep you guys informed as much as I can about our cats and the Big Cat Rescue, where we came from, everything like this. So our first cat here on our tour is Dozer. He's a black leopard. A lot of people will confuse a black leopard as being a different, a black panther, thinking that they're like a different species of cat as compared to a leopard. So he's actually got spots just like every average leopard is. He's not different from any other species of leopard. He's just a regular leopard that had a recessive gene that makes his fur black. So in the case of tigers, a lot of people think that a white tiger is a different species of cat than an orange tiger, and they're actually the same thing. They just carry the recessive gene that makes their fur white. In the case of a leopard, this actually gives him a huge advantage because he can blend into his surroundings wonderfully, whereas the white cats, they stick. So a lot of the cats that we come, first of all, none of our cats here come from the wild. We don't take cats in from the wild. What we do is we rescue cats that were either abused or neglected or abandoned or illegally owned. And believe it or not, this happens a lot, especially with animals in the big cat nature. So any of the cats that we have that, such as leopards like this, have to be housed in an enclosure that has a roof on top, because Dozer is quite capable of climbing out. And even though he's a lot smaller than our lions and tigers, he's certainly one you don't want to have get out. So you're also going to see a lot of different personalities on our tour. For a case of myself and Dozer, this is about as close as I ever get to Dozer personally. Now, Jenny can walk up to him and pet him, and he loves her to death. But for me, he established the social distancing a long time ago. He's got a 6-foot rule with me. And the same thing with Khan. As we get closer to Khan, I'm going to get really close to you guys, because Khan and I have a love-hate relationship. I love him. He hates me. So, but you can't really blame them, because a lot of the personalities that the cats have come from where they came from. And because a lot of the cats were owned by men who mistreated them, they kind of hold that grudge against me. So lucky me, I get a lot of cats that got my number. So like I said, Dozer is the first cat on our tour. He came to us from a place that was using him for photos. And this is a commonality with a lot of the cats that we have. They were being used for taking photos. And the thing about this industry is it's actually a lot more cruel than one would imagine. These are wild animals. They're not our pets. And even though they were born in captivity and raised by humans and fed by humans, they still have that wild nature about them. They're not tamed by any means. And so when you have an animal like this being manhandled by a bunch of people every single day, it's not in their nature. They really hate it. It stresses them out. It creates a lot of health issues for them. And what happens is when they get too old, federal law steps in. Usually around 2 to 3 months old, federal law says you can no longer use this cat for taking pictures. So now the cat costs them money. Rather than feeding them on a formula diet, they have to switch to meat. And they can't use them to take pictures anymore, so now the cat costs them money. So they either usually kill the animal, they try to sell it off in the black market for parts, They will literally part out every part of the animal, or they breed them for more cats to have for more cubs, which usually leads to a lot of inbreeding in their species and everything then too. So we're gonna come on over here. We're gonna say hi to Kai. Now, every so often during the tour, I might get a little bit too close to a cat and you're gonna hear him say, back off. So they're not saying I love you. They're saying you've gone too close and you've gone too far. So this is Kai. He's a 4-year-old Bengal tiger. He's actually really large and bulky. However, his legs are a little on the short side. He was a little malnourished as a cub when he came to us. The guy that owned him kept him in a garage for the first 3 months of his life and thought he would make a good pet. Well, he got caught having him. It was illegal for him to have the cat where he was. And I say that because right now you guys could legally own your own cat living here in Wisconsin. There's only one of I think we're one of 3 remaining states. I believe, is it Florida and Virginia or Florida and Texas or South Carolina? It's some of the southern states. But so we're one of 3 states that still allow you to legally own these cats. Odd, weird thing about restrictions and zoning laws, we can have tigers and lions on our property. We can't have roosters or goats. So, so yeah, go figure. But so Kai came to us from a person in Minnesota, and he's probably the strangest rescue that we ever had because he never gave us any notice. He made an 8-hour drive, and 2 hours before he arrived here, he called up Jeff and Jenny, who, if you haven't met Jenny, this is the co-owner of the rescue. Her husband, Jeff, and her have started this rescue back in 2004. I've been helping them up for about 15 years, so I helped them build this place and everything, helped them get it started up. But about 2 hours before the guy arrived, he called them up, says, hey, I got caught having a tiger, my bad, and I'm gonna give it to you. So they're like, okay, well, let's make arrangements, let's get some paperwork in order. He's like, oh, don't worry, I'll be there in 2 hours. So he gave them no warning or heads up. Fortunately for them, we had another cat who we're gonna see in just a moment. Her name is Minocqua. She was a cub about his same age, and we were able to pair them up together. So how this works with pairing the cats is when they're cubs and when they're adolescents, we can get them together and they'll bond very well. But as adults, they've established their territory and it's too risky to see if they'll get along. So if you have kids and they have kids, hey, let's see if our kids are gonna make friends. Nope, okay, well, we can pull them apart. In the case of tigers and lions, you really can't do that. And so if as an adult, we had Minocqua single and then we got Kai as an adult, we wouldn't take the risk of pairing them together because if they didn't get along, one of them is going to get severely injured or worse. So unfortunately, when we do a rescue with an adult cat, if that cat is alone, we won't house them up with another animal at all or anything like this. But we were very fortunate because we had Minocqua. They were both cubs. He was privately owned as a pet, but then she was being used for taking photos and everything, and so we paired them up together. And if anybody follows the Facebook page or the website, you know that we did have a little surprise here last September. We had a cub born. His name is Harley. We are not breeders, but we're gonna, you all done? You got some left? Yeah. Come on. He's got to save some for the after show. So we'll talk about the chuffing sounds that they make in just a little bit, but we're going to come on down to say hi to Minocqua real quick. So this is Minocqua. She's the recent mother here at the rescue. And what happened and how we ended up with Harley was kind of a story of like you would see out of the movie books. Our vet was scheduled to come here and do the operation to have Kai fixed. But unfortunately at that time, one of our other cats, Gypsy, needed some medical attention and we have a very limited budget. We are not funded by the government. We survive by doing tours like this. So thank you guys very much for this because this helps us feed the cats and everything. But so he was scheduled to do a fixing operation, have Kai fixed, and we had to have him work with Gypsy instead. Then he's scheduled to come back a few months later, and that's when COVID broke out and he wasn't able to come. So during that time, Kai snuck one out on us and now we have another cub, which is, we love him, but we'll talk about why we're not breeders and how that's kind of happened a few times, you know, how nature's beat us to the punchline and stuff. So Minocqua and Kai, now even though they're housed together, you'll see that they have to be housed separately when we feed them. So they're very, very, very hostile with their food. You're gonna see as we get to the other side of the rescue, we have Parker and Memphis, who are 2 of our most aggressive feeders. You can go forward and everything. So there are 2 most aggressive feeders at the rescue and everything like this. And how we have to house our cats when we have multiple cats is we have to keep them in separate enclosures and lockouts. So we're going to come down here and say hi to Bam Bam really quick. Bam Bam is the first cat here at the rescue, and he's very, very sociable. He likes to get a couple of scratches from Jenny before he feeds. So he's going to come up, he's going to kind of go, oh, oh, and then he's going to lean up his face up against the corner, and he's going to get a little bit of loving from Jenny. Yes, it is. Yep, he's down at the far side, so we're going to show him that. So here comes Bam Bam. So Bam Bam is an African lion, and he just turned 17 years old. So he's incredibly friendly. And so you know, he's been with Jeff and Jenny since he was a cub. He knows them very well. They know him very well and everything like this too. So he's getting a little older. Bam Bam. Come on, buddy. Oh. Come on. Come here, buddy. And true to nature, they're just like your house cats. They oh, and if he does turn his back to you and raises his tail up in the air, just lift somebody up in front of you. I was the recipient about 2 weeks ago. I was cleaning out his enclosure and I forgot to look for his tail, and I got a nice little shower and stuff. So Bam Bam, come on, buddy. Ooh. I can't remember the day. Come on, Bam Bam. Good boy. Yeah. Is his tail up? Okay, cool. Good boy, buddy. Good boy. So you can see he's a real monster. So he's an absolute teddy bear. He's one of the first cats that came here to the rescue. So how the rescue got started, this is something Jeff and Jenny are not proud of, but they don't deny the facts either or anything like this. They were very open to the public about how the rescue got started. And they used to take pictures with the cubs. So Bam Bam used to be in here in the enclosure with his sister named Pebbles. You might even want to come around this side if you get in. Yeah, he'll get a good shot of him too. We have a camera crew here today, so if you don't mind when you see the camera operator, just kind of clear a little bit of space for him too, just so you're not blocking the shots. So Bam Bam was in here with his sister named Pebbles. They're two African lions. We are also in here with a Siberian tiger named Thunder. Have you got a question?
I think he's trying to get closer to the crowd because
He wants some scratches. Yeah. So don't let his calm nature fool you. He's still a lion and he has his grouchy moments. And there are times that you're going to want to stay very clear away from him, not just when his tail's in the air. But how the rescue did get started is Jeff and Jenny used to take pictures with the cats. They would set them up on a table. People would stand behind the table and they'd all pose and get a shot with the cat. They made a lot of money doing this. Unfortunately, what they also found out was what it was doing to their cats and what the industry was really like. And this is where they realized that people were inbreeding their cats. They would kill them if they didn't make enough money with them, or they would sell them on the black market. A tiger's pelt and their entire body can go for about $60,000 on the black market. They will scrap out every part of that cat, from the eyeballs to the whiskers to everything, and they will sell every part of that cat. So if the cat's not making them money, they're going to find another way to make money off of it. So they stopped with the photo taking and they advocated against this, and then this is when they opened up the rescue. So we no longer take pictures, we advocate against this. Anytime you see somebody holding a cub and they're usually feeding it a bottle of milk, there's something in that milk that keeps that cat sedated. It's not in their nature to be held by humans, they don't like it. And so to keep that cat calm and easy to manhandle, they keep it drugged. And when that cat is no longer when it's too large to use anymore, they have to either put it down or breed it for more cats, or they try to sell it and stuff. So unfortunately, Pebbles and Thunder passed away a few years ago. So Bam Bam is here on his own little pride and everything. But how we go about feeding the cats, because they live together, they still won't feed well together. They have to be isolated physically and visually from each other. So if this enclosure had 3 cats, they would each be in their small lockout enclosures separated by this big septic tank. So what we use as their caves are these large septic tanks. They're nice and cool for them. The concrete pulls the heat away from the body. In the wintertime, we put a bunch of straw and hay in there and it insulates it very well. Oh, I know. He's such a sweetheart. You could actually sleep in there all winter long other than the smell. It's not so much fun for them. So we're gonna come and say hi to Khan, and so Khan, he just recently turned 17 years old. So we do have a lot of elderly cats here with us. We've been open since, well, they started their rescue in 2004, and this location was built, we built this in the summer of 2007. So I'm gonna be standing a little closer to you guys. This is my friend Khan. Like I said, it's a love-hate relationship. I love him, he hates me. I can't blame him though, because he is #1 an apex predator. It's in his nature to hunt people like us. And it is kind of an interesting thing, because as much as we care about these animals, we are on their food chain. So it's kind of a fatal attraction, if you will say, you know, we have with these animals and everything. But a lot of the cats that came to us were previously owned by men. Bam Bam is gonna get very vocal. I'll shut up a few times, he'll start going, oof, oof, and you're gonna wanna hear him rather than me when he does that. So Khan is our oldest cat here at the rescue. He's 18 years old. He is a Siberian tiger, and for his age, he's actually doing really well. He's in pretty good shape. He does drink quite a bit of water these days. This is something that usually is a sign of a kidney failure. A lot of the cats, as they get older, they suffer from the same ailments that your house cats will have. So kidney failure, arthritis become some big things. Lions are susceptible to something, and I never remember the scientific name, but we just call it the wobbles. And when this happens, unfortunately, it's a death sentence for the cat. It starts to create a paralysis in the body. They can't walk, they can't eat, they can't do much of anything, and there is no cure or treatment for it. So if a lion comes down with this ailment, we have the vet come in and we make the decision to have the cat put down. So when our cats do pass away, we don't sell them, we don't do anything with them other than bury them out in the field in the back. So our cats stay with us forever. There was one time we donated a cat to a university for medical reasons. Her name was Zeta. She was this beautiful Siberian tiger. She passed away. She had a very, very rare respiratory condition. And so we thought because of this, maybe the medical fields could learn a lot of information. And they did. And to thank us for our donation, they sent us a bill for $2,000 a few months later. So we no longer donate to universities because we can't really afford to be just giving them cats and then having them charge us for that and stuff. So, so Khan is in here right next to his two sisters, Diamond and Allure. And they are from the same parents, just a different litter. So they're about 2 years younger than him. And because of this, we can't house them together. So we're gonna say hi to this one here is Allure. Yeah, who's a good girl? Yeah. So you're gonna see a lot of the cats' personalities shift very, very quickly when it comes from before they have food and while they have food and after they have food. It is literally like seeing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sometimes. So this one here is Allure, and we have one kind of coming up to us as her sister Diamond. Now, Diamond does have, I'll have to ask Jenny about it because we had our vet come here and take a look at him. I haven't heard the results of it yet and stuff too. Diamond does have a pretty bad limp on her back leg. So she's hobbling around right now. We do have a full-time vet on staff with us. So this one here is Diamond. And the way you're able to tell about which one is Diamond is she has on her stripes, the white stripes above her eyes. You're gonna see two black stripes that kind of look like this. They're kind of in the shape of a diamond. So that's how she kind of earned her name. So depending on which is most likely, we'll get Allure in this enclosure, but we'll see. Allure is a little bit more on the aggressive side with feeding, but it looks like we got Diamond today. Did you get the results from?
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay, sure, yep. So we had our vet come in and take a look at it. Now, our vet is on call 24/7 with our cats. He does not, unfortunately, donate his services. So whenever Mike comes out here, it's to the tune of several hundred to several $1,000s. But so she recently was looked at by our vet. We had to have her sedated and everything like this. So whenever we see an animal that has an injury, a cut, they start looking like they're getting sick, we keep a journal of this, and our vet will come out and take a look at it and everything too. So just like your typical house cats and dogs, when you take them to the vet, they seem to know and they don't like going there very much. Our cats are the same way. When Mike shows up, they all go in their hutches and hide. So if he's gonna do a vaccination, obviously if he ever has to look at an animal, the cats have to be sedated. They won't sit politely and let you look at their paws.
You guys just move this way.
So we're gonna come on over this way, yep. Yeah, he doesn't do well with people. You can't blame him. So now he's gonna be like, oh, all right. So, okay.
So our vet was here on Saturday and sedated Diamond because you notice she's got a little bit of a limp. So she is considered an elderly cat. So when we sedated her, it was a huge risk to be able to do it. As they get older, there's always a 50-50 chance of them not waking up from it. She woke up perfectly fine. Not too happy with us. She got a couple shots, and then we did find out that her hip keeps popping in and out of joints. There really isn't anything that we can do for it. And then it looks like there's a lot of arthritis in the leg itself too. So unfortunately, she'll have to be on pain meds for the rest of her life. And there's also, he thinks that it could be bone cancer too. And for that, with a big cat, you can't put them through chemo. It's not a quality of life kind of thing that they want to go through. So she's on a pain med right now. We're going to see how she does for the next 3 days, if it improves at all. If it doesn't, she's going to have to go to a stronger pain med for that. And she'll just be on pain meds for the rest of her life. She did eat the pill with the piece with the pill in it, so I'm happy.
Good. All right. No, that's good. I didn't know the results yet. So, and she talked about the pill in the meat. So, in a similar fashion, if you have to give your pets med, you'll hide it in the meat. We do the same thing. We take a nice big piece of meat, and we'll cut a hole in it, and we'll put the pain meds or the medications or the vitamins in there and everything too. So another thing about the food is because they eat a pure protein diet, we have to add vitamins and minerals to their daily diets and everything. In the wild, they would make a kill, and they would eat all parts of the animal. They'd eat the bone and the guts and the juices and the nice little eyeballs as dessert and all that fun stuff. And they get all their vitamins and minerals this way. But because we feed them a pure meat diet, they get their proteins, but we have to add the vitamins and the mixes to them. So if you looked at the meat up in the wagon, it might have looked like we put Mrs. Dash or something like that on their meat. And this is just a way of us ensuring that they get all their proper nutrients and stuff. So we're going to come down here and say hi to Allure. She's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to being close to her. So if the cats do tend to start acting up when you're standing close, we just ask that you kind of move away from them. As much fun as it is to see animals like these roaring and growling, it puts them under a lot of stress, and it risks getting an injury. So how we have the feeding set up is that the cats sit in these smaller enclosures. It prevents them from getting running room or jumping room, and they're more isolated physically and visually from each other and from us. So while the cat is in this enclosure, you can see how she don't even like Jenny getting that close. This allows us to go in and clean out their enclosures. Every day we have to clean out their water dishes, scrub it down so algae doesn't build up. We have to change it out with fresh water, sometimes a couple of times a day. We give them toys to play with. They have these large water barrels that they just love knocking it around. And every time you go in, you might see us rearranging some of their toys, putting some stuff up on the hutches, just like your house cat at home. Yeah. Yeah, they love attention. So that's the spot. They're shedding really like crazy right now too. So just like your typical house cat, once you put something on the table, they knock it off. Put it on the table, they knock it off. These cats will do the same thing. So we're gonna go say hi to Lucy, and she's our second youngest cat here at the rescue. She's just over 2 years old. We do have a lot of tigers, and the reason we have a lot more tigers than any other cat here is because tigers make people the most money. So because of their exotic striping and their patterns, hey Lucy, yeah, who's a good girl, huh? Because of their striping patterns and everything like this, they do make the most money on the black market and everything. So this is why we have more tigers than anything else. So Lucy came to us the same situation. She was being used for photos, and when she got to be too old, the people that had her said, well, she's not making us money anymore, so we don't want her. We're going to put her down, or we're going to breed her. And so this is when the rescue steps in, and we take over. And I'm going to stop. It only lasts a couple of seconds. So this is something that the lions do, and he'll do this throughout our feeding tour. So when he does, I'll usually try to stop talking so you can enjoy that. It's a pretty cool sound. At one point, we did have 7 lions here at the same time, and they all get activated and triggered by that. So when one starts calling out, the others will start joining in, and it's just this symphony of awesomeness when it happens. We've had people that live about 10 miles out of town say that even 10 miles out of town, they can still hear these lions sounding off. So the lion's social behaviors are a lot different than tigers. Tigers are very solitary, whereas lions can have massive prides. A pride could be anywhere from 2 cats to 20 cats. A lot of times you're going to see it just normally with a male. There are instances where there's going to be several males in a pride, but the reason for this is territory and mating and food. So nobody likes to be the underdog, and so if you have 2 brother lions, one of them is going to be the alpha. That means in the wild he gets to eat first and mate first and sleep first and do whatever he wants first. So the other one will either fight for supremacy or he'll be banished and he starts his own pride, things like this. So in the case of tigers, though, because they're solitary, the reason when we get up to Harley, we're coming up to next, a lot of people say, well, when the cub was born, why did we have to pull the cub out of the enclosure? Why not let him stay with the parents? There was 2 main reasons for this. One, Harley was born in September, so he would have been too young to survive the winter time. He would have froze to death. The other challenge is keeping a cub in the enclosure with the dad. When it comes to tigers, when the female and the male mate, she will banish the male and he gets exiled. He goes off wandering around for a long time. If he stays in the area, there's a very good likelihood that he's going to kill the cubs because they become competition for territory, for food, and for mating and stuff. Now, Harley, when he was born, he did have 2 sisters. Unfortunately, one of them didn't survive so well. So being a first-time mom, Minocqua was a little bit rough when she carried the cubs around, as we all know how animals carry their cubs around in their mouths. Being a first-time mom, she was a little bit too harsh, and unfortunately, the first sister didn't do very well. She passed away. The second one was alive. We rushed her over to the vet for surgery. He performed a surgery on it. She didn't survive the surgery, so we lost her. Harley himself did have injuries on his head too, but he survived, and so we have him. So we talk about why we don't breed. As much as we love the cats that were born here, we've had several cats born here at the rescue, never intentionally. The reason we don't breed is because we're a rescue. And so while Harley is one of our family now, we love him, he's going to stay with us for the rest of his life. This is also one enclosure that's no longer available for a rescue. So if Jeff and Jenny get a call to do a rescue, they're going to say, I'm sorry, we don't have the room to house them because we have another cat in there. So this main reason is why we don't breed. So we're going to say hi to the gentleman that was born here in September. He's about 8 months old now. Hi, Harley. So he's very, very playful right now. And the one thing that we ask, if after the feeding tour is over, when you guys are walking around the front, because you're welcome to stay all day when we open up the enclosures and everything like this, we especially ask when we come to these 2 cats, please no running around or teasing the animals. He's very, very playful, and because of this nature, he's going to want to chase after the little ones like that. And the problem with that is instinct kicks over in these animals, and he's going to get really excited. He's going to run, he's going to smash into the fence, and he's going to hurt himself. So this is why we never want people running around here, because the cat's instincts get triggered and they kind of chase after them and stuff. So he actually has this really weird behavior, which is odd because his dad had the exact same behavior. Harley loves to lay in his water dish. So when we water him, we usually bring 2 or 3 jugs because the first one gets used up just to give him a bath. And he'll bite the water, he'll roll around, he'll swat at it, he bites at the nozzle. Tigers absolutely love the water, which is kind of a weird thing because you always hear about how much cats hate water. Tigers love to be in the water. They absolutely love it. So just like his dad Kai used to do, Harley will do the same thing. He'll sit in his water dish and we just pour water all over him. And then after he gets bored, he lets us finally water him a little bit. And then he'll sometimes go back in for a second round and everything like this. So this is why you'll see a lot of the hutches have these big metal tubs on the top. In the middle of the summer, we like to put a lot of the tubs out into the enclosures for the tigers. They will spend half their day just jumping in and out of that water and loving the heck out of it and everything like this too. So even though he's really small, he's very, very dangerous. By the time they're 3 months old, they're already strong enough to bite your fingers off. We put them on a meat diet by the time they're 3 months. Prior to that, we feed them a bottle diet. So he was housed up at the rescue's house over winter, and you know, it's a bittersweet thing raising a cub. It's a pretty cool experience to say, we got to raise a cub, take naps with it, feed it, but then there's also the pooping and the cleaning and stuff. So you get that fun of holding a tiger over a toilet and basically rubbing their backside with a warm cloth to motivate. Because in the wild, the mom would lick their backsides, and that stimulates them to go to the bathroom. And obviously, you know, if they don't do it, it's not good for the body. So we have to stimulate that too. So in my career of helping them out, I've been pooped on and peed on, and all kinds of, but it's been by tigers, so I can say I got pooped on by a tiger today. That's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun raising them, but they're not meant to be in the inside, so they climb over everything, and they're like Velcro paws. You know, imagine how much your little tiny house cat with their tiny paws can do. When you got an animal with paws like this and claws that come out, it's a whole different story. So we don't go in with the cats. It's not always the case that the cat would want to kill us. It's that they would want to play with us. So Harley is an absolute sweetheart. He's going to want to play with us because we used to play with him all the time. And so he kind of looks at us like, hey, how come you're not in here playing with me? We used to be together all the time. Well, Harley, you'd kill me. So, you know, they grow up thinking that we're stronger than them because we used to be able to lift them up and we used to be able to pin them down, things like this. So in their mind, he might actually think that I'm stronger than him. He doesn't realize that our skin's not built the way theirs are. And we don't have that fur to protect us. So if he's going to play, he's going to bite and scratch and claw and tackle me, and he's going to kill me, or he's going to severely injure me. And then in order to protect myself, I might have to pull him off of me, and that's going to risk hurting him. So to avoid any kind of injuries for our cats or stress for them, we just don't go in with them once they get to a certain age. So Harley will be here with us forever. Now, he's still young enough that if the rescue gets a call for another cat around his age, we can still pair him up, which is really nice. And that's always our hope. You know, the cats get a ton of socialization every single day, which is also another reason why we feed the way we do. So back when the rescue was first started, we were about 1.5 miles out of town, and Jenny's husband and I would do a lot of the feeding together. And how this would work is a local farmer might have a cow that passed away or was stillborn. So we'd have to skin the cow, we'd have to gut it, we'd have to cut it up, but this is a lot of fun. And they asked me when I first started helping them, do I have a thick stomach? And I said, yeah, it's pretty thick. So, we used to have to get up on top of the hutches, which the cats hated because they're apex predators and they hate having anything higher than them. So that aggravated the cats. Then we would have to try to throw this big 50-pound chunk of meat over the fence. And I say try because half the time it would land back on us, and that was loads of fun. Sometimes it would get stuck on the fences, and then when it finally did make it over, the cats would fight over it and stuff. This would also run the same risk that they run in the wild. When a cat lives in the wild, they might go a week without eating, and then they finally make a kill and they gorge, and they eat as much as they can. So now they got all this food digesting in their belly, and these cats like to roll around. There's a risk of them twisting their stomach. So we stopped feeding this way, and we now feed 5 or 6 days a week, a lot smaller amounts of quantity per day. So this eliminates the risk of the cats twisting their stomach. It gives us the daily interaction with the cat so we can observe the monitor. You might actually see Jenny taking some notes and some binders here. She's making notes on everything. Who watered, who opened the gates, what did their poop look like, how much poop was there, all this stuff. This way if a vet comes by, we can kind of monitor this. So we're gonna go say hi to Diamond, or Katrina and Maya. Hey babies. Who's my pretty girl? Come here, come here. Hey Trina. Yeah. Who's a good girl? Is it dinner time? Huh? Is it dinner time? Yeah, you're not in heat now. So this is Katrina and Maya. And truth be told, these are my two favorite cats here at the rescue. I love them all, but my background, when I first started helping them out about 15 years ago, these were the first two cats that were born at the rescue. So this was my first opportunity to ever get to raise and bottle feed a cub, bottle feed them and play with them, take naps with them, roll around with them and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I had my bittersweet day just like every other cat. They got to be too big. We no longer go in and play with them or anything like this. Katrina, we often will make jokes around. She's a little on the bipolar side. She loves you 1 second and then wants to bite your head off the next. So literally just like your house cats, you know there's that joke that says, I wanted you to pet my belly 2.34 times, not 2.35 times. The cats here are the same way. They might be loving you 1 second and then instantly they're gonna come up and attack. So how did Katrina and Maya come to us? This was kind of a fluke. Their mom, Rachel, was pregnant during the rescue. So when we did a rescue for Rachel, she was housed with another cat, very massive white Bengal cat named Zeus. And she was pregnant, so we had Katrina and Maya born here at the rescue. We then tried to do a female contraceptive for the big cats, and that failed, and that gave us Avalanche and Snowball. So when we come up to the next enclosure, you're gonna see two large white cats. They are brother and sister to these two sisters here. After that contraceptive failed, we decided the best and safest approach is to do clipping the male. It's the most surefire way of making it work. and everything like this. We had another rescue with a cat paired up with Vixie and Thor, and the guy that we did the rescue from stated that he had her spayed, and he showed documentation showing that she was spayed. Turns out he lied and falsified documents. She never had her fixed because he was trying to hide from basically that he was breeding his cats. And so she surprised us one day. Our groundskeeper, who comes in and trims the hedges and stuff, noticed this little bowl of white fur in the grass, and he's like, "What's this?" So he walks over, and here we have a white tiger cub born. So that threw us all for a loop because they don't show signs of pregnancy the way humans do. So then we had the mom spayed as well too, and then it didn't work, and that's how we got Memphis and Parker and Tom the Third. So now all of our males are clipped. Whenever we have a male in with a female, we fix the males. And like I said, Kai was able to sneak one out before the vet came in and stuff. So we do whatever we can to not breed. And again, as much as we absolutely love our cats, because they were born here, this is one enclosure that's not available for a rescue anymore. In the 15 years that I've been helping them out, they've had to turn down over 200 cats. This isn't because they don't want them, it's because they don't have the housing or the facility or the money for them. We're privately run, we're USDA, we're licensed by the USDA, we are a 501c3, but again, we don't have any government assistance, especially when COVID broke out and the food pantries are shut down and everything like this. We went from getting our meat in bulk discount rates to having to go down to the stores and buying full retail price for feeding these cats. Now, on average, we feed about 250 pounds of meat a day, which adds up to about 5 tons of meat a month. Imagine what our grocery bills are when we feed a family of 5. Now, imagine 20 plus tigers that need 20 plus pounds of meat per day. So it's a pretty expensive undertaking. On average, our monthly bill for food alone is about $8,000. So, and I'm a volunteer. They do not pay me to be here for 15 years. I've just given them my time whenever I can. I've actually kind of built my whole life around just being around this rescue as much as I can. So the people that work here, we just love the animals, we take care of them, and for us, that's kind of the payment on its own. So she might not eat too much. A lot of them will just kind of chill out. They're a little bit more showboaters. They get stage fright. They don't want to eat when people are watching. So we're going to go say hi to Maya. Hi, pretty girl. So this is Maya. She likes to do the what's up face. Yeah. Who's a good girl. So now how they come to be white cats is they're not a different species of cat, they carry a recessive gene. So 2 orange Bengals are capable of producing white cats the same way as 2 brown-eyed parents can produce a child with blue eyes if they both carry the gene for it. So unlike the leopards, this is a huge disadvantage for the tigers. The white fur makes them stick out like a sore thumb. They don't have the abilities to blend into the environment the way the orange ones are. There is times that people will be looking for a cat and they say, "I can't find the cat," and I say, "It's laying in the grass right there in front of you." And you'll have a cat 600 pounds flattened down like you wouldn't believe, blended into the green. So it's a pretty cool thing. Their white fur makes them stick out, which in the wild makes it harder for them to blend in. They can't sneak up on their prey as easily, and it's a lot harder for them to feed. They are also more susceptible to disease. The recessive gene just makes them a little bit more vulnerable for that. As we come up to Avalanche, she's this big, massive boy over here. He, a couple of years ago, had a 2-pound cyst removed from his belly. Luckily, it was non-cancerous. But then one of our cats recently, Raja, had some surgery just below his eye. He had a growth. We had it removed. The surgery was successful. He's recovered fine. Unfortunately, we did find out on the biopsy that it was cancerous. So we're hoping that it's not hereditary with his family and stuff. So we're going to come down over here. I'm going to say hi to this young lady real quick. Hi, baby. Yeah. Come on. Come here. Yeah. Who's a good girl? Yeah. Come here. So I want you guys to see her real quick before we put her in her lockout. So this is a Snowball. Yeah. And she's an absolute sweetheart. So I gotta say goodbye to her because she won't go down if I'm there. So Snowball was born here at the rescue. She is partially blind. So the way she recognizes us is by sight and by sound and by smell. So we talk to them. They come up and say hi with us. I'm not lying. Get it? When I say that we could walk her on a leash. She is, in the 15 years I've been here, she's growled at me like 3 times. And that was because I got too close to her when she was eating pork. We found out she really likes pork. So she's back off. But she is partially blind. And so we're not able to put any toys in her enclosures. If we do, she'll actually walk right into it and smash up her nose. So we want to reduce that injury and stuff. So you'll see a lot of these enclosures have these big circus-looking balls. These are boomer balls. They're supposed to be indestructible, but you'll see a lot of them looks like someone took a machine gun to them. So even something that, you know, circus elephants or elephants would stand on, these cats will tear right through it. And so we try to put these in every one of the enclosures, but they cost hundreds of dollars. We just don't have the funding to get that for every one of the animals. So we rotate them around and everything like this, but they will put the tubs in this one for the cats and stuff. You know, a lot of times we'll see Avalanche walking Snowball around. They'll kind of walk and she'll lean into him and they'll just kind of walk, kind of like he's like a C&I cat for her and stuff. As far as Avalanche is concerned, he's basically the spitting image, but slightly smaller than his father. So his father, Zeus, was 21 years old. We're gonna walk around the side here. This is the only part of the tour where we kind of stray from the cats a little bit, and I'll talk about this area here, but you'll be able to see Avalanche and Snowball from the side. So when Zeus fathered these two cats here, he was 21 years old. Now the life expectancy of a cat in captivity is maybe 19 or 20. He made it to 21, so he came to us in pretty good health. And the other thing is, in captivity, cats won't breed unless they're very calm and relaxed. So at 21 years old, not only was he pretty healthy, he was pretty happy. So he sired these two cubs, Avalanche and Snowball. Unfortunately, you know, with old age, the cats passed away and everything, so they're here. So what this back area is this is kind of a future site. Every one of these enclosures cost us about $20,000 to build. So we have these two waiting for future development. And what this is a quarantine area. If we ever did a rescue with a cat that was too aggressive, it was too mistreated by somebody, and they couldn't be near anybody in the public, we would put them back here. This way the cat can stay calm. It doesn't have people bothering them at all. Or if we ever had a cat that had a surgery or was sick and just needed to be kind of temporarily isolated, we'd be able to put the cats back here kind of away from the public eye. So we're gonna come around, we're gonna go say hi to Snowball. This would be two private enclosures back here. Now, as far as our enclosures go, we actually pride ourselves on, here's another pun, all right? We have some of the largest enclosures in the Midwest. Our smallest ones are 60 feet by 80 feet, and other ones we have 60, I think, by 100 or 120. So the cats have a lot of room to run around and play with and all this kind of stuff. You can see how they're physically separated from each other, so they're not fighting. Their aggression levels are lower. They're able to stay calm as they eat. If we would just throw the meat over the top, they would fight. Now, Avalanche being a lot bigger, he would kind of pounce on his sister, but don't let that fool you. There are times that Snowball will throw Avalanche around when she's had enough of his shenanigans and stuff. So, and how the enclosures are designed is these poles go 6 feet into the ground. The fences go about 2 or 3 feet into the ground. Cats don't dig the way dogs do, so there's no risk of that. Plus, we line it with a gravel. The cats are pacers. They like to walk along the edges. So as we walk around, they'll come up and they'll walk with us a lot and everything too. And they're pretty consistent about where they like to leave their business, which makes our work a little bit easier. Cats like Harley, he likes to put us on treasure hunts. He's like, where did I hide my treasure for you guys today? And it's in a different spot every day. But consistently, some of the cats will almost always defecate in the same areas, which just makes our lives a little bit easier and fun stuff like that. So a couple of other things that we like to do for the cats for enrichment opportunities is in the wintertime, we'll give them big pine trees and they'll roll around in the pine scent. They love getting that pine scent on them. They'll also carry a tree around the way a dog carries a bone. So imagine an animal with the jaws strong enough to lift a tree with its mouth and walk around with it. It's crazy. In the fall, we'll give them pumpkins. They love playing with the pumpkins. Some of the cats will actually eat the pumpkins, and pumpkins are a natural dewormer. On their birthdays, we like to give them some ice cream, fun stuff like that. But every day we're out here interacting with our cats and just talking to them, giving them scratches. Now, like Snowball's a cat where I can walk up to her and I can pet her and scratch her and love her and she's fine with me. Other cats like Khan, I won't go within 6 feet of him. But again, Jenny can walk right up to Khan and he'll lift up his chin and she'll scratch his neck, no problem. So based on their experiences with human, they either love you or hate you and things like this. So here we're coming up to our next enclosure where we have two West African servals. We formerly housed some leopards in this one, and once he passes, I'll tell you a little bit about the leopards that we had. And you can also see that as we progress, what Jenny will do is she goes back around and she lets each of the cats out of the enclosures. A lot of times we'll make sure, like if it's a colder day, if Avalanche is being a little bit more aggressive for his food, she might wait to give Snowball more time to finish her food, so that way Avalanche doesn't run in and take it from her and everything. But on hotter days, the cats will be a little bit more lax about eating their food. So this, yeah, right, the wind is a beautiful thing. So this little, I don't know, conglomerate of enclosures here is a one big enclosed thing for a bunch of cats. So we used to house some leopards in here, which is again why they have to have roofing on them. Now, we no longer have those leopards. They've all passed away since we've had them and everything. We had 2 black leopards and a spotted leopard. They were Sierra, Boo Boo, and Magic. Even though they're not with us, I still like to talk a little bit about their story. This is a West African serval. Which one is this? So this one is Nala. Oh, she's got the claws, okay. Yeah. And then we have another one in here with her. Do you know, she's probably over there. Okay, there we go. So we have Nova and we have Nala. These are West African servals. This is as big as they're going to get. Now, of all the cats that we have here, their story is not bad. They actually were very well taken care of before they came to us. It was just a matter of the people that had them could no longer care for them. So they asked us if we would look after them, and we said, yes, of course, absolutely. So we've only had them for about 7 or 8 weeks. They're still getting a little used to their enclosure, which is why we don't put them in the lockout. It freaks them out. So we just kind of stick the meat through the side. They come on up and they say hi to Jenny. They will hiss at us a little bit, but they're actually very friendly cats and everything. And like I said, this is as large as they'll get. So if you see them, they got the little spots over there. But in this enclosure, we used to have 3 leopards. Now, they have all since passed away. They were the longest distance rescue we ever did. They came to us from Texas. 2 of the black leopards for 3 years shared a 3x6 rollout enclosure. They never got to leave it. So you had 2 cats living in a space 6 feet by 3 feet. They never got to touch grass. So when they came to us, they were half bald because they had to sleep in their own piles of, I'm sorry, I'm in people's way. So they developed a lot of neurotic issues with them and everything too. But since then, they've passed away. So when a cat comes to us, we do the best we can, give them all the medical treatment they have, the socialization, the comfort, the quality of life. These cats are not here to entertain people. They're here to live. So there are times in the middle of summer, people will come here and do a tour, and they say, well, all of your cats were sleeping. We're not very happy. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that cats have to sleep, but that's what they do. So we don't have our cats entertain people. If sometimes the cat comes out and says hi to people, that's awesome. But if they're sleeping, we let them sleep and stuff. So we are going to be coming up to 2 of our most aggressive feeders. If you are going to do video, this is probably your best time to do some video. Oh, okay, yeah, so this is going to be, I'm just going to say this. It's better Jenny's doing this than any guy, all right? So. So we are coming up to Parker. Now Parker was born here at the rescue. He is very impatient. No matter how fast you are with his food, it's never fast enough. Now he's a lot better with Jenny than he is with any guy that comes around here. If I get up to him, he likes to roar in my ear and tell me how much he loves me. So he was born here at the rescue, and this is what I like to point out why they're not good pets. This is a cat that we used to bottle feed every day. He'd lay down and take naps with us. We'd play with him as a cub. He grew up with us, but yet when it comes time to feeding, he'd rather kill us than look us in the eye. So, and when she does do the food with him and she opens up the gate, she has to be very, very quick about it because he'll run in really fast. If she does it too slow, he can bang up his shoulder blades in his back. So whenever we open up the gates, we have to be very careful about that. The other fun thing between Parker and Memphis, you're going to see it, he's going to mean mug her. He's just going to walk in, he's going to look at her, and it's just, it's kind of like, give me my food, woman. So. Now, this is not him rubbing up against her for affection. All right, he is marking territory right now, wiping his saliva on the fence. Just a real quick look. So we have to make sure that their tails are all the way in and all that fun stuff too. And he's going to yell at them if she has to. Do you have to do any trimming?
No.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So sometimes we have to trim the hedges around them, and they just don't like us to be anywhere near them when they're feeding and everything like this. So again, despite the fact that he was born and raised here at the rescue, when it comes time for feeding, he makes it very, very clear that he is in fact a wild animal. Some people have the idea that because they were born in captivity, this makes them tame. This is just simply not the case. This makes them unable to live in the wild. So we do have some people say, well, why don't we let him back into the wild? There's big reasons for that. Number one, he never was in the wild. He was born in captivity. He was actually born here at the rescue. But the second part of this is something that surprises some people. Hunting is a skill that has to be taught to the animals. It's not something they know how to do. Think of our language, think of the accents that we talk with. If you were born in the South and raised in the South, you're going to have that real deep Southern accent. If you're born up in Minnesota, you're going to have this. We got our nice little Northern accents. I spent a few years living in the South, and everybody said I talk funny. I said, no, you guys are the ones who talk funny. But so we learn our language from our parents and from our society around us. Hunting is a skill that's taught to them by their parents. So when the mom goes out and makes a kill, initially she hunts the food. The cats watch her hunting. Oh, that's what she's doing. And then she brings back the food, and they go, oh, this is what we eat. And then eventually she'll start training them. She'll injure an animal, but she won't make the kill. She lets them do it. I know it sounds harsh and brutal, but this is how nature has to work. It's that whole Lion King circle of life thing. So hunting is something that they've never known how to do. A backstory is back by Diamond and Allure. Many years ago, 2 turkeys flew into that enclosure. Those turkeys never flew out, but they didn't. They're not alive, by the way, just in case. So they left them for us to pick up. They didn't eat them. They didn't do anything with them other than play with them. And then when the turkeys stopped playing, they said, well, you guys are boring, and they left them for us. So every so often we'll find a dead possum or a dead rodent or something like this, but the animals are never eaten because to these cats, food comes in a bucket. So if we were to let Parker out into the wild, he's going to look for people. He's going to say, hey, people, feed me. Where are people? I'm going to look for people. Oh, there's people. Hey, people, feed me. And then when they don't feed him, he's going to attack. And it's just not a good equation. So the cats have to stay with us forever. Now, a fun little fact you're going to see, especially with the tigers, it's really noticeable with them, is on the backs of the ears, they all have white spots. This is even the case for the white cats. This is nature's little way of creating the idea of eyes. So like how you see moths their wings will look like a pair of owl's eyes, cats do the same thing. So these spots on the backs of their ears will motivate an animal if it was coming behind it, because you'll see how a lot of the cats will also eat with their backsides to us. This is their way of hiding their food and protecting it. So if I was another animal walking up behind Parker, I might actually think that he's looking at me, and I'm not going to want to come anywhere closer. So it's a way of them kind of protecting themselves like that when they eat. And just like our fingerprints, their stripes are as unique to them as our fingerprints are to us. So their stripes are unique. A lot of the cats we identify just by the markings on their bodies. A few years ago when Avalanche had to do his surgery, this is when I found out for the first time that a tiger's skin is striped like their fur. I never knew, but we had to shave Avalanche's belly, and here enough, he's still got stripes on his belly. So I'm going to walk over here by you guys because I don't want to get too close to him. So these guys will yell at you as you walk away sometimes too. They're like, why are you walking away from me? Now, Memphis is our other very aggressive feeder. It's a hot day out, so they're not being crazily aggressive, which is fine by us. On winter days or days that it's a little bit cooler, Memphis especially will basically get up on his back feet and roar right in your ears. And it's just his way of saying, I love you very much. Thank you for this food. I appreciate it. But he's actually being very well behaved, all things considered. So, but a lot of times he's pacing up and down and kind of attacking the fence and everything like this. And again, he was born here at the rescue. So these two are brothers. They used to share the same enclosure, and for years they got along wonderfully. In fact, when we used to feed them chickens in the afternoon, they would both run over the vault at the same time. It was great. But as nature's proving, guys don't get along when it comes to territory. We're always fighting over, this is mine, she's mine, that's mine, this is all mine. I don't want to share. So when we had Parker and Memphis in the house together, as they aged and our females would go in heat, this would trigger a lot of aggressive behaviors. The pheromones would be in the air, and these guys would start fighting for territorial right. Now, oh, he didn't even mean mug you today. Wow, that's got to be hot. Usually he just mean mugs her like you wouldn't believe. It's like, I will kill you. But so now the running joke is, now that we've separated them, they actually fight even more because they'll sit there and chase each other up and down these two enclosures when the girls are in heat. So it is very difficult to keep some of the cats together. Like I said, their traits are different. It's really easy with siblings. Like we have sisters living together. We have a brother and a sister together. But when it comes to the two males, because of their nature to be territorial, it's very difficult to keep two males together. And if we have cats that are housed together and they start fighting all the time, we will separate them, because as much as we want to keep them paired up, we don't want them fighting either. And everything like this. Now, as aggressive as Memphis gets with his food, he's a fountain drinker, so whenever we water him, he loves to come up to us and just drink from the fountain and everything like that. Bam Bam is the same. We have a few cats that just like that kind of social interaction. Now, you might hear something that sounds like this. And this is what we call chuffing. All right, so it's kind of like their version of a purr, but it's how they greet each other. And mostly it means something good. Oh, have you got a question?
Is it a liger?
We're coming up to that one. We're coming up to her. We're going to see her pretty soon. So a cat that is capable of purring is not capable of roaring, and if it can roar, it can't purr. So incidentally, our leopards, lesser cats like that, can purr, and it sounds exactly like a growl. So the only way to know if a leopard is growling or purring is, do you see its teeth or its belly? It's usually a good sign of what it's just doing. But in the case of a cat, they're going to chuff. So a lot of times we just hear, and we'll talk with them. We'll chuff, they chuff, we chuff. And I don't really know what we're telling them. I hope that, we're saying something friendly to them. Yeah, I know. So you can see how I had the back, he's watching me. They'll yell at us sometimes even as we walk away from them. So she's going to let Parker out now, gives him a chance to finish more of his food. He's less aggressive this way and all that fun stuff. So they do have a brother. They did have a brother. His name was Tom III. He's the only cat in the history of the rescue that they ever adopted out of the rescue. And in this case, he was adopted to the University of Memphis, Tennessee. Now, what I'm going to tell you at first sounds bad, but please let me finish. He was adopted out to be their mascot. This does not mean he was paraded out at shows in a cage. He never did anything like this. He lived in an amazing enclosure. Before they ever agreed to doing it, Jeff and Jenny were both flown out to the university to see where he was going to be housed at. I mean, this guy had his own staff, and he lived like a prince. So unfortunately, he passed away through cancer. They found lymph nodes all throughout his body. But he was the only time that they ever donated out to the cats and everything like this. Otherwise, the cats stay with us until they pass away. So in this next enclosure is empty. This is one of the rare times that this rescue's actually had availability for rescues. In the case of, let's say, well, Parker's enclosure, for example, can house 2 cats, but we have just one living in there right now. So if the rescue got a call, says, hey, there's 2 cats that need to be housed together, they would probably play a little bit of musical chairs based on who's got in it. So if we had a single enclosure available, they might move Parker over into the single enclosure, and then they would put the 2 cats there. We do everything we can to not sedate the cats, though, because it is, just like you heard Jenny say earlier, it is a risky situation. When a cat is sedated, they're not able to control their body temperature. So if they're sedated in the middle of winter, we have to cover their body in a bunch of bags of ice. If they're doing it in the wintertime, we have to line them in hay, because they can't pant to regulate their body temperature. So as best as we can, we don't want to sedate our cats, but when it comes time for surgeries or anything like this, we have to. So this enclosure currently is empty and could house 2 cats. Now we also have, let's say, Bam Bam, for example, that lives in an enclosure that has three enclosures. So again, the rescue would have to make some decisions. Bam Bam's old. They don't want to sedate him. It'd be very hard for him to come back out of it. But if they did a rescue and they had 3 cats, his enclosure is a good opportunity. Now they also have Kai and Minocqua that are much, much younger. They're 4 years old, and they're in an enclosure that could house 3 cats. So they would probably make the decision to relocate Kai and Minocqua to a different enclosure so they could house 3 cats there. So it's always kind of a musical game of sometimes we're at full capacity and sometimes we're not. It's simply a matter of the equation. What's the age of the cat and what type of cat is it? And you can see she's got every morning. This is a day in her life. So Jenny and I will often joke because people say, "Wow, it's such a glamorous lifestyle you guys live," and we just kind of laugh. It's a glorious lifestyle, I'll say that, but glamorous is not it. We sweat, we get covered in mosquito bites. We get to work with raw meat every single day. We get to shovel up. I shouldn't say we, she. She's here every single day. I'm just here a couple times a week helping them out. But she does this no matter, just like your postal service, they got nothing on her, all right? So it doesn't matter if it's 40 below zero or 110 degrees out here, she has to be out here taking care of these cats. So on a daily basis, this is what she has to do. And she's got, you know, the people that are residents, you know, they're always so appreciative, you know, as you can see how some of them like to roar and her yell and stuff. So this is Raja. He was born, yes, how you doing? Yeah. So he was born here at the rescue. He was the one that was a big surprise. Our groundskeeper found this little lump of white fur sitting in the grass and had no idea that we had this cub because, like I said, the papers that came with Vixie, his mom, were falsified. So they were led to believe she was not in need of being fixed. And because of that, Raja was born. And we absolutely love Raja. Yes. Yes, hi. Yeah. Yeah. So Raja used to live in an enclosure with a lion. His name was Kimba. Unfortunately, he passed away as well. They did very well together up until a few years ago where they had to be separated because of territorial rights. So Raja is the one who had the surgery underneath his left eye. You might see a little bit of scarring on it. We're very happy to say that he's able to close his eye fully. This was a concern after the surgery that he might not be able to open or close his eyes. You can see how they kind of mean mug everybody as they come through. The regretful news about this is that the tumor that he did have removed was cancerous, and so we're hoping that we caught it. We're hoping that it doesn't spread in this case and everything. So again, our vet comes here. He doesn't donate his services, so when Mike comes, he's fully licensed for large animals. He comes out of Lodi, but he's on call with the rescue 24/7. So if at 3 in the morning they give him a call and said, "Hey, our cats are hurt, something has gone wrong," he'll get up and he'll make the trip over here. As we walk past this enclosure, you're going to see a nice little tub. I'm going to show you guys this one here real quick. So we like to give them these little play toys, and I don't know, like last winter, I bought them a bunch of these things thinking that these were going to be great, and this took a day, all right? So this is what happens when you give a liger or a big animal, a liger, a toy like this. So, I mean, this is solid stuff, and this happened in like a course of a day or two. So we have to be very careful about what toys we give them to play with because they are so strong. You're going to see that he kind of put a little toy up on that little hutch over there. This is just kind of fun fulfillment for the cats. They're like, "Hey, I don't remember putting that there. What'd you do that for?" And they just knock it down, and they run around and play with it. And then we rotate the toys because Raja's going to get all of his smells and scents on that ball. And after a couple of months, we'll say, "Hey, let's give this toy to Daytona." And she'll get to have the fun of having that new toy and all that kind of fun stuff in here too now. Now, where did she go? So here's the fun part of the rescue. Hi. Yes, who's a sweetheart? So if you've been here before, you don't get to answer this question, but if you've never been here before, this is where we like to say, "Can you guess that animal?" So you're very, very, very close. A liger, dead on, yep. So this is Gypsy. She is a liger. Now she's very rare. She's one of 18 in the world. The person that we did the rescue from likes to play mad scientist. He likes to find out what kind of crazy concoctions he can get. As it turns out in the animal kingdom, hi baby. So she also puffs. She doesn't chuff the way the tigers do. She goes up. So come here, Gypsy. Yeah. Now, I like to joke around that Gypsy's more dog than cat. She will chase her tail. She plays with her feet. She plays with you the exact same way a dog will play with you. Trying to get her into her enclosure is usually a game too. Sometimes we got to use ourselves as bait, and she'll kind of stalk us, and then she'll charge us, and then we get her in. So she's kind of an exhibitionist. But her mom was a liger. Her dad was a lion. So there's a whole science behind this and everything. And a lot of people argue against ligers because they're kind of an unnatural animal. In the wild, these cats would never exist. Tigers and lions would never cohabitate in the wild. So the only way this is possible is through captivity. And it's not the animal's fault that we're taking up all their land and all that fun stuff. So it turns out their genealogy is close enough related that they can, it's not like a cat and a dog can't have a pet, you know, or whatever you want to call it, a cub or a baby. But these cats can.
Same thing yesterday.
And so because of that, they also have an abnormality. They suffer from gigantism. So when a liger is born, it doesn't have that gene controlling its size, and they get bigger and they get bigger and they get bigger. And people say, wow, that's really cool. Look at this massive animal. And they make a lot of money off of it. The problem is it creates a lot of stress and problems for the animal. If you're familiar with animals like Great Danes have a very short lifespan because of the size of their heart. They have a lot of heart issues, so they don't live very long. So in the case of Gypsy, she's, believe it or not, she's a cub. All right, she's just over 2 years old. She's as playful as the cats over there, but yet she's larger than some of our adults. So she's incredibly playful, and because of that, you know, we're always afraid that she's going to hurt her wrist or her ankle or her shoulders or something, because she rolls and tumbles and plays all over the place. She's incredibly playful by that nature, but if she gets too big, she could hurt herself. So as they found out when ligers were born, if you have a female tiger with a male lion, you will get something called a liger, which looks like this. Oddly enough, if you have a male tiger with a female lion, you'll get something that looks entirely different. When in case of ligers, the males are sterile, but they found out obviously that the females are not. So they had a female liger, and they put her in an enclosure with the male, and they bred, and we have this. So a few things about Gypsy is she has the spots on her body just the way a lion does. When lions are born, they have spots on their fur, and as they age, they lose those spots. So she actually still has like 90% of those spots. Some of them have faded a little bit and everything, but if you see them closely enough, they're actually kind of in a striped pattern. So you see elements of the tiger coming through and says, hey, I got some tiger in me and everything like this too. Yeah, come on, let's see if we can get her in. So you see what Jenny's doing? She's going to try to hide on Gypsy. This is going to kind of trigger some of her playful attitude. So we're going to come on over this way because she takes a little bit of work to get in.
I'll let you get up there so you can get the shot.
Gypsy, come here, baby. Come on. So yeah, if everyone can come closer to the gate, because we're going to try to play some hide and seek with her. Gypsy, come here, baby. Yeah, come on. Let's go to the food. Come on. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on. Gypsy, come on. Come on. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. She's actually got a wonderful demeanor. She will growl occasionally when we get too close to her food, but she's, like I said, I always make the joke she's more dog than cat. She's just really super playful. So, she has that tiger blood in her that makes her want to chuff. And the tigers go, but in her case, she's got this lion blood conflicting with her, so she doesn't chuff. She makes this puffing sound, and it's like a. She'll also howl the way the lions do. So every so often, when you heard Bam Bam calling out that that you hear, the lions will do this to demonstrate their territory, to locate the numbers in their pride, and to also demonstrate their size. It's kind of like saying, I have food, don't come near me, this is how big I am. Incidentally, we had an Atlas lion who used to howl into the enclosure because it made him sound even bigger. The sound would reverberate. And funny enough, the tigers don't do it naturally, but when we had 7 lions here, we'd have 7 lions calling out to each other, and we had this Siberian tiger named Zeta, and tigers don't do this naturally, but she would just kind of like, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too. So she'd start calling out too, and tigers are really loud too. So when Gypsy calls out, she has a little bit of a gargly, raspy sound. She'll howl the way that Bam Bam does it, but she's got those tiger elements. So tiger's growl is a lot more raspy and everything like this, gargly. Incidentally, as cubs too. Truth be told, tigers when they're cubs, they're it's like it's really annoying. But a lion's is pretty cool. It's like this row. And if you've ever seen like the Lion King, when Simba roared for the first time and it kind of threw him on his butt, I got to see that with Kimba the same time too. He was doing his little "Ralph," and he just sat on. He didn't do that. He sat on his butt and kind of looked. Where did that come from? So it's kind of cool when the lions will start discovering that little roar that they have and stuff. So, but she does get stage fright. She doesn't do it around people. So, is there anybody that stayed at the cabin right now? Is there anybody from the cabin? Did you guys hear kind of a rah? So yeah, so that was probably her. So she likes to call that at night when she's alone, but when she sees people, she just won't do it. So for those of you that don't know, we have cabins up here that give people an overnight opportunity. We have a family cabin and then an adult-only cabin. It's got a really nice spa that looks like something out of Star Trek and stuff. It's pretty cool. But so it gives people a chance to spend the night with the cats and not in the hutch. You know, for an extra $10, you get to spend the night in the hutch, and if you survive, you get your money back. So we're gonna come up here to say hi to Daytona. I saw her. Hi, baby, come here. Come on. So this is Daytona. Yeah. How you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Here's a good girl. So you can see like some of the cats we can do some interaction with. When it comes to, putting our hands inside, we have to be very careful. We don't let the interns or anybody else do this and stuff, but we have to be very careful about it. So we watch their body language, you watch their mannerisms. You won't ever see me trying to pet her nose, but if she's like this, she does like to get her back scratched a lot, so she'll lay down and we scratch her back. But the same way a cat will give you signs that it's had enough, they'll flap their tail on the ground. If they get really stiff and they got that locked glaze on you, it says back off. They're in predatorial mode. So Daytona came to us when she was 2 weeks old. She was a reject by her mom. Her mom refused to feed her. Now, you kind of saw how she was interacting with me just earlier. She was very friendly. She's chuffing with me. She was nice and calm. You can see that now, that instinct is kind of kicking in. She's like, I want my food. And now, if you ask her to share her food, she's not gonna.
Daytona, can I have some?
Yeah. She lets you know that you're too close. Now, we don't ever tease the animals, and we'll walk by them sometimes, and we just happen to be too close to them, and they do this. If I was to get too close to her now, she would literally attack the fence. And then I'm not going to do this because I know I'm not going to get hurt, but she's going to get hurt in the process. She's going to bang her nose or her claws into the fence, and we don't want to just, I think a lot of the cats that came to us, we had one cat in particular, Taz, he usually get poked to entertain the audience because when we did a rescue, if anybody has Animal Planet, so I'll talk about Daytona quick. So she came to us when she was 2 weeks old. She was a reject by her mom. She was born into a litter of 6 cubs, and the mom refused to feed her. So we were contacted and we said, yeah, we'll take her. So we had to bottle feed her and raise her and everything like this. But again, she's another shining example of, she might spit some food back up. Yeah, they do that a lot. If they have a large chunk of meat, they'll actually eat it, and then they'll spit it back up. And then they enjoy it a second time. It helps it go down a little bit better. But if you also notice how she tilts her head, the cats don't chew their food the way we do. They will actually scissor through it. So they tilt their head to the side, and they scissor through their food to swallow it whole and everything like this. In the case of their canines, when we come up to Kenya, we'll talk about her. She was malnourished as a cub, and she's only got basically like one canine up front. Luckily for them, they don't need their canine teeth because they don't hunt. So those canine teeth up front, those really famous, sharp, long teeth that cats have, are used for the kill. But when it comes to eating, they use the back molars to scissor through the food and everything. So since they don't have to make that kill, they have the food like this. But they'll turn their head sideways to kind of scissors through the food and everything too. And like I said, with her, as we get too close, she'll kind of tell you that she's you can already hear her growling. Sometimes it's funny. You can actually do this. Oh, they won't do it, but they'll growl and then you walk away. They set a very specific boundary and everything like this. Who's getting a toy? Kenya's cool. So this is us rotating around. This thing is very, very, very heavy. There's no way you're picking that thing up and moving it and stuff. So whose was that in? Oh, okay. So Daytona's been playing with this enclosure for a couple of months. Now we're going to give it to Kenya. Kenya is our oldest female here at the rescue. She's 17 years old. And in the wild, they might live about 12 to 15 years old. In captivity, they maybe make it up to about 19 or 20 based on the health of the animal. Kenya came to us from a zoo that was just no longer able to take care of her. They had other types of animals, bears and wolves and stuff. But since we specialized with the cats, we took the cat, and the bears and wolves went elsewhere. So she's actually very sociable with us. She's a little on the heavier, slower side. She's old. She's 17, so we currently have a lot of elderly cats here with us. But you can see she's incredibly sociable. Jenny's here every day with these cats. They know her, she knows them. We have a policy about the interns. Even though they love the animals, they want to take care of them, the interns just don't know the animals, and the animals don't know them. And all it takes is one quick moment, and it can happen with anybody. I mean, if I'm not paying attention, I get swiped myself. So it's just, you got to be careful. Hi. Yeah, I'm walking. So, and the funny thing is once she's done with her food and she's got it all swallowed and she sees that there's nothing else, you'll see her physiology just change. The way she composes her body, yeah, all of a sudden it relaxes. And then their eyes just kind of go, huh. And then you can go right back up to them, and they're sociable again. So she's got, for the kids, she's got some tiger fur, if you guys would like to feel some tiger fur. She was petting Kenya, and some of the fur came off, so there's some fur up there if you guys would like to touch the fur. It's very, very, very soft. Incidentally, a lion's mane is very, very rough, kind of like a horse's mane. So there's one cat that I like to talk about that we no longer have here too. Her name is Tazzy, or was Tazzy. She was a very, very special case. And for me, this was a defining moment when I started helping Jeff and Jenny out, that I knew I was with the right people. Because the situation is this: if you have Animal Planet, you'll actually be able to see a documentary called The Tiger Next Door. And it's a really cool thing. The owner of the rescue, Jeff, was actually there doing a rescue, and the cameras were rolling while this was happening. And there was this cat named Tazzy. She was so hostile and so aggressive that she ran up this fence enclosure she was in, and the force of her doing so ripped it off the wall. So a bunch of guys had to run up and push this fence while this cat is just going crazy on the inside. Jeff almost didn't do the rescue with her. He's like, she's too aggressive. It's almost going to be better to just put her down. She's too much of a risk. But he decided to take her anyway, and within about 6 months to 9 months, every one of us could walk up to Tazzy and pet her, and she would chuff. Only thing we could not do was have a hole by us to do any kind of raking or landscaping. That would freak her out. So there's a lot of suspicion that says she was probably poked and prodded to entertain the audiences with her roars. So this is Kenya. Like I said, she came to us from a zoo that can no longer house her anymore. So how the cats come to us is they were either illegally owned, somebody got caught having them, they were breeding them. They get a lot of places that claim to be rescues, and they breed these cats and they make a lot of money. Hence our conversation now about the Tiger King. All right. If you've seen that horrible documentary, you might have known some of the things that go on in this thing. I won't talk much about it, but I will say this: when that documentary came out, it was horrible for our rescue, for a lot of wrong reasons. A lot of people associated us with the people on that documentary, and we literally got death threats. They would get a phone call at 3 in the morning threatening to kill us, put us in the enclosures, whatever, because they were going to take the animals. They were just, I mean, it was an onslaught of attacks. People were giving us 1-star reviews on Google and claiming that we mistreated our animals and blah, blah, blah. People that had never even been to our rescue were making these claims against us. And now we survive by reputation. We're a nonprofit. It's a rough life. And like I said, I donate my time to be here. We don't get funding from the government. We survive because of tours like this. We're licensed by the USDA. We are a full 501c3. But because of this documentary that came out there and people that focused on how nutty these people were, it really hurt the rescue. So this is where I'm not too ashamed to say, if you're a social person and you like to get out there, we absolutely love and need those 5-star ratings. If you can see how we are with our cats and how well our cats correspond with us, you can see that these cats are well taken care of, and we're not exhibiting them or showing them off or anything like that. So if you don't mind going on on Google or Facebook, liking us, following us, give us that 5-star rating. If you like it, please, a good review. There are people, I live about 15 minutes from here. I run a business out here, and there are people where I live that don't even know that this place exists, and they're 15 minutes from here. So it's kind of, we like to get the word out there because we survive through opportunities like this. We have sponsorship programs, we have adoption programs. You don't get to take the cat home. We have had people literally come here saying, I would like to adopt a cat. I have a truck in the back. Which cat would be the best to take home? And they were serious. And she was like, well, it says on, and she actually got mad at us when we said she couldn't adopt it. She's like, well, your website says you can adopt. That's like a funding thing, not so you don't get to take the cat home. But if you know anybody that has a company, you know a company that's looking for a worthy cause for donations, it's a huge thing for us because we have sponsorship programs. These are things that help us benefit the life of the cat. It provides us with their food and their nourishments, their vitamins, their vet care, things like this. We have a few very big expenses here. One of them obviously being meat. It's about $8,000 a month worth of meat. We get our food through a company called Feeding America mostly. This is meat that was getting close to expiration date or was damaged in freight. And I'll tell you, I love a good steak, and it's pretty painful sometimes because you're opening up this 40-pound or this $40 steak that's sealed and frozen. Man, it'd be good on my grill right now, but it's got to go to the cats. So four-wheelers is another major expense for us. This is like our 7th four-wheeler. All right, we go through four-wheelers the way some people go through shoes because we're hauling meat and water and gravel and food every single day up and down this hill, starting and stopping it. So four-wheelers are a major expense for us. Vet care obviously is a major expense, and then just insurance alone is a major expense. So everything from the tours that we do help provide income for the rescue. We take donations. Some people will just drop off a box of rubber gloves, and that does wonders for us because we go through rubber gloves like crazy. We're handling raw meat all the time. I don't like holding tiger poop with my bare hands, so it's nice if I can at least have some rubber gloves there. So you can see how they like to play with the things and knock them around and all that stuff. There is one cat here at the rescue that you won't see. His name is Saber. He's a Canadian lynx. He came to us from a private owner. He's in the center, smaller enclosure up over there. He's very shy. He will not come out in the daytime. I've only seen him twice in the daytime. He comes out at night. He was privately owned. The guy that passed away didn't tell his family he had this cat, and when his niece went to the house to pick up his artifacts, she found this lynx inside his house. Like, what do we do? So they contacted us, and we take care of Saber. Unfortunately, he thinks, I think we feel like he's got like abandonment issues because his owner that he had his whole life is not with him. So he comes out at night, but you won't see him too much. So you are welcome to stay and visit the rescue. We have a gift shop in the center. You're welcome to come around the front, visit the cats. They are about ready to do what they do for the next 16 hours, which is sleep. So they're very nocturnal. They like to get very active in the nighttime. When we do night tours, like some of the cats, like Daytona, you saw how I walk up to her and pet her. I won't even do that at night. They're in a whole different wavelength at night. They're on predatorial mode. They're very aggressive at night, so they're very active. In the daytime, they're going to sleep to conserve that energy for that hunt in the nighttime. So thank you guys for coming out. I hope you guys had a good tour. Is there any final questions for us at all? Or all right, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming on out. And like I said, you're welcome to visit the front of the rescue and see some more of the cats and all that stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thanks for coming out, you guys. Yeah, thank you. When we feed them is we'll put, rather than putting the meat in the small lockout, we put the cat inside the lockout. We'll go inside, put the meat in front of their hutch. And this way, if it's really cold, the cat can pull the meat inside their hutch and eat when it's more insulated. But then also, like come hunting season, we get a lot of donations from hunters. They'll drop off the deer carcasses. We just ask that they're skinned and gutted and that they leave some meat. Some people will just drop off a big pile of bones for us, and it doesn't really help us. So our workload increases in the fall come hunting season because we have to get all the deer ready for them and everything, but it helps save the rescue a ton of money because we're getting all this food that we're able to get from hunters and stuff like this.
Oh, for sure.
So, and then the winter comes with its own set of challenges because you're still 40 below zero and you still got to chisel out the water every single day, or you've got to get in there and lay more hay into the hutches. Springtime, we've got to get all that hay out of there, and that's always fun because they pee in there, they bring their meat in there, they poop in there, and that's a winter's worth of urine. And and the hay. So come springtime, we're hauling it out into there, and we're just covered in it's gross, but.
That was my question. Like, what
Yeah.
do you do in the? Are they here in the winter?
So yeah, it's, believe it or not, that's one of our most popular questions. Is people will ask us, what do we do with the cats in the
Right.
wintertime? And we actually keep them here. The tigers actually thrive in the winter. They love it. It's part of their natural environment. Even the wild ones are. Even the ones like from Indonesia, the ones that come from more tropical environments, think of this. If I was born and raised in Wisconsin versus born and raised in
You get the
Florida,
thick skin
yeah,
from being up
yeah,
north.
you adapt. I mean, when I moved to Florida after my first year there, I got cold at 65 degrees. You know, I'm a Wisconsin native, so I just adapted and stuff. So they actually thrive in the wintertime. They do really well with it. You wouldn't recognize these cats in the winter versus summer. When I first started helping them about 15 years ago when we did this, I actually came to them in the winter, and then I hadn't seen the cats again until summer. I thought they had gotten on the cats because their fur grows really thick in the winter. They gain a lot of body weight, and they look like two different animals. The only ones who really don't like the winter as much are like the leopards, so we give them extra straw and hay in their enclosures to help them out with that. But you'll also see that they have these black tires, they actually use it like as a thermal heating pad. In the wintertime, you'll see a lot of the cats just kind of chilling on the tires and things like this. We always tell people the best days to see the cats are on colder days or rainy days. The cats, especially the tigers, love to be wet. They love that drizzle. So if you come out here on a rainy day, you'll see like 20 cats sitting up on top of those concrete rollouts, just chilling out and enjoying the rain and everything like this.
Meanwhile, the heat will actually. Make
Yeah.
them tired.
So the concrete, the way the sun is going over the top of us, those rollouts in the front always provide shade for the cats. No matter where the cats are, they always have different points of shade to keep themselves out of the sun and the heat. But it also says, hey, if there's a cat that's staying inside that concrete rollout, people that are visiting the rescue can also see the cat. So we kind of did it as a two-part benefit. But the concrete is really good because it pulls the heat away from the animal, and it kind of keeps them warmer and or cooler in the summer and everything. But in the wintertime, yeah, the tigers will roll around in the snow. They run into it. In the summer, when we put the tubs in there, the tigers will splash in the water. We used to have in Bam Bam's enclosure, he was in there with the Siberian tiger, Thunder, and the lions hate water, tigers love it. So you would actually have Thunder, he would jump in his water, and then as the lions, you would see him just kind of hiding like this, and the lions would walk by, and he'd come up and splash at them, and they'd run. So yeah, they do pretty well with it. We have had people actually ask us, well, at night, do we let them all out so they can all socialize and No, it's not like we can say, hey, Con, it's the playtime's over. You got to go back into the enclosure now. So no, they stay in their enclosures for the rest of their lives.
Can we talk about them? Do you
Yeah.
want to get a drink real quick?
I'm good right now.
You did an amazing job.
Oh,
I'm
thank
sure
you.
you're hot.
Yeah, I talk for a living, so I just.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Are you okay, Brian? Is that
You guys,
stuff
we
okay?
have water if you guys need some water.
I'm great. but-
Okay, actually, a fun one to walk by might be Con, because Con likes to play a little hide and go seek game with me.
Okay.
Like I said, Con just doesn't really like me. It's a love-hate relationship. Thanks, you guys, for coming out.
Can we ask a really quick
Sure.
question? She wanted to know what all the names were of the white tigers.
Okay, so in the order of the tour that we went, we had the two girls that were born here, Katrina and Maya. Katrina has 3 little stripes that come up on her left eyebrow like this, and then her sister Maya's in there with her. They were born in 2006. Right next to them is their brother and sister. That's Avalanche and Snowball. They were born in 2008. So those guys are all brothers and sisters. Then on this side, you remember the really big orange tiger that we saw, Parker? Yeah. His brother's right next to him. That's Memphis, all right? And then the last white tiger that we saw is Raja. And Raja is the older brother of Parker and Memphis. So we have Katrina, Maya, Avalanche, Snowball, Memphis, and Raja. Those are our white tigers. Are you going to name it after that one? I would say go with Katrina or Maya. They're my favorite.
Katrina.
All right. I love it.
Thank
That's
you
cool.
so
Thanks, you
much.
guys. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I have to say that Katrina and Maya were actually my 2 favorite cats because they were born here first, and I got the opportunity of, for the first time in my life, I just never thought in Wisconsin of all places I'd be helping take care of tigers and lions.
If you behave for this last 20 minutes, whatever, then I'll get you something. If you
It
do
is.
that,
It's hard because you love the animals. I mean, I don't get paid. I've been helping these guys up for 15 years. I don't get paid to do this. I literally built my whole life around this because you love being a part of this. And our human nature says, well, we love them and we raise them, so you want to think of them as a pet. And there's always that moment when they're a cub, you're like, maybe this will work. Maybe this will be the one that, but as they get older, yeah, you see Dozer's eyeballing me. He doesn't like me very much. So like in the case of Kai, now Kai is incredibly friendly. Actually, let me come around on this side here because I can maybe get some of the cats to come out if I'm by you guys. That'll just make it a little bit more interesting.
Where is she? I can't do this interview. I can't do this if she's not.
So like, yeah, with Dozer, for example, I have to stay about 6 feet away from him. The owner of the rescue, she would actually, back when he was younger, we'd go in with him and he'd walk between her legs and go belly up and everything like this. But a lot of them is because of the way they were handled, they have this kind of hostility towards certain people. And so we have internship programs here, people like that are here helping us out. We don't allow them to touch the cats because number one, we're trying to make sure we get the right type of people here. A lot of people just want that, hey, look at me, I'm touching a cat selfie, and then they're not here to work. So also we want them to make sure that that person stays safe and so our cats stay safe because, you know, if a cat gets through and it's not a good sight. So he might come out to us. When it gets hotter like this, sometimes the cats aren't really sociable, but sometimes they'll come on out. Kai, you wanna say hi? Yeah, a lot of them won't come on out and stuff like this. But yeah, but you do build a bond because like we had Kai and Minocqua as cubs, and you know, you play with them, you roll around with them, you get a few bites and scratches from the cubs, you know, and that's just part of the nature of it all and everything like this. But there always comes that time when you have to make that decision. All right, you know, they're getting too big and they're becoming a risk for us. And again, we don't want to get hurt, but we also want that animal to get hurt too. I mean, it's more so like if as a cub, he starts getting too aggressive and, oh, got ants all over me here. I stepped in an ant pile. Stupid things. At least I'm not in Florida now. This would have been fire
I was
ants.
gonna say I've had those all week this week at our house.
Oh man, I hated those things. You wouldn't ever know until it was too late because they all send out that signal and they start biting you. And
That's it, the campground, like
Oh.
all the park.
yeah, it's horrible and stuff. But yeah, there comes that point when it's just you have to kind of say goodbye. And I had that with Katrina. They were getting to be too old, and so I came up to help them, and they said, look, this is gonna be the last day you get to go in with the cats and stuff. So I had a student who was a professional photographer. I said, you got to come up here and just get a shot. So I got this great shot of Katrina giving me a hug, and it was like the happiest and saddest day of my life because here's a cat that I got to raise since she was born. I'm getting hugged by a tiger, but I was also sad because I knew that day was never going to happen again. So yeah, you have to kind of separate yourself emotionally when they get to be too large like this because there's that. And it's in a case like Kai, it's not that he would attack us, but he's going to want to play. And the way he plays is they bite and they scratch and they claw and everything like this. So some of the cats, like Bam Bam, if he's up here and we walk past him, he'll come up and he'll rub up against the enclosure and things like this. These guys will press up against it. But if we're giving them scratches on the back, we're always watching their heads and their eyes to make sure we look at their mannerisms. You would never see me petting Kai while looking at you, because then I can't read his body language and things like this. And then certain cats, like when you get up to Khan, no, I stand right here. It's just because, yeah.
And like, let's talk about enclosures real quick. You said it's the pole is 6
Yep,
feet
so we built this rescue in the summer of 2007, and these poles go 6 feet into the ground here. So they're cemented into like this. The fencing, you can see how there's a flex like this. This is intentional in its design because it kind of freaks the animal out. So a lot of people say, well, a cat could climb this out. Now, tigers are wonderful climbers, but if you see their legs, their front legs are a lot larger than their back legs. They're not meant for a vertical climb the way a leopard can climb. So a tiger can climb a tree because it can grip its claws into the bark, and there's angles and branches for them to hang on to. But you're talking about 500 pounds of body weight trying to hold on to this little fence like this. So there's never once in the time that this rescue has been open that we've even had a cat attempt to climb this fence. We line the outside of their enclosures with this pea gravel because the cats are pacers. They like to walk up and down their enclosures. As we walk around here, a lot of times you'll see a cat just walking alongside us and we're talking to them and everything, and the cats will lay down here. So this way the cat is never laying down in mud. It keeps the cat mud free, things like this. And also the cats are kind of habitual poopers. They like to kind of, for the most part, all of them will poop almost always in the same spots, except for like cats like Harley. He makes it a treasure mat for us, or a treasure quest. So, so because the cats like to walk up and down here, this is why every morning we have to go in and clean up, you know, their enclosures so they're not walking in things really in their own garbage and stuff like that.
And then the fence goes another 3 feet in also.
Yep, yeah, the fence is anywhere from 2 to 3 feet deep into the ground and everything. So, and then we put in all of these rivets piece by piece by piece. So we had the skid loaders out here and cranes out here. We had cranes dropping off the hutches. So their dens in the back, those are just basically septic tanks. And we took concrete saws and we had to cut them out, and there's hutches for everyone. So if you notice, there's two holes in that one. That particular septic tank has a divider in it. So those are kind of like 2 caves there and 1 cave there. So this enclosure could house 3 cats. You can see how there's 3 lockouts in the back. And the way this is designed is that physically and visually, these cats are always separated from each other. So when Kai goes into that enclosure, Minakwa will go into another one. If there was a 3rd cat, they would go in that one. So even though they socialize very well together, when it comes time for feeding, they don't share their food the way we do.
Right.
And they would fight. And this is when we first started the rescue, when Jeff and Jenny first started the rescue, and we fed, we used to throw meat over the top, large chunks, and they would fight over the food. Well, this created a lot of hostility, and they would fight. Cats could get hurt. So this way, the cat's demeanor, they're a lot more calm, they're less aggressive, they're less stressed. They can eat more calm. We get in here and clean up their enclosures. When the cats are done eating, we let them out. And the same thing is with the hutches in the back. There's always a private space, because, you know, just even if you're married, sometimes you just want to like I need me time, right? So sometimes these cats will actually be in their own hutches just because they don't feel like having the companion with them. So we always make sure that there's a lot of toys to play with, spaces for them to have privacy. No matter what, there's always shaded areas. So if it's a really hot day, you can see why Kai is laying inside the concrete and Minakwa went into the back hutch. It's just too hot today. Cats don't want to be lying in the sun, but sometimes they actually do. Sometimes they feel like sunning themselves and they'll be out here. But at night, their whole personality will shift. These cats are storing their energy for tonight.
Oh, for sure.
And so, like at night, I might, you know, during the daytime, I can walk around and I'll say hi to Kai and he'll come up and he'll chuff. But when we walk around the enclosure at night, we keep a different distance from the cats because it's a whole different personality with them and stuff. And even though you know them, they're still wild animals and they're still cats. They're as unpredictable as weather. So.
And when you were talking about the poles bringing them in,
Mhm.
so that's where your meat of your expenses must have came.
At first, yeah, because we obviously had to have, you know, the fuel. We had to pay the fuel. We had to rent the machines. We had to have the travel costs
And
of
you
all
did
this.
that yourself?
We built it ourselves. So Jeff and Jenny, oh, he's going to come out and say hi to Jenny. She's watering. He'll actually probably get some water. He likes to drink from the water as she waters him and stuff, and he might even just roll in it and stuff too. But yeah, we had a crew of volunteers that came out and helped out and everything like this. So what she's doing around now is she's going around watering. We have these 5-gallon drums in the back, these stainless steel tubs that are at a half barrel. He likes to drink from, yeah. A lot of our cats are like this. Even Memphis, who is really aggressive, when we water, they like to come up and they like to drink right from the water with us and everything. But because we give them this daily interaction, the cats are used to seeing Jenny, they're used to seeing me. They come out and they say hi. Now, when her husband Jeff comes down here, I to this day can't explain it. He has this way with these cats that you just, none of us can understand how it does it. There's not a single cat that won't walk up to Jeff and just want his undivided attention. I think it's just like they know he's the one that pulled them out of their life that they had or something. These cats will come up to him, even the most aggressive cats, he'll walk up to them and they'll chuff and they'll rub up against them, and it's just uncanny. I always joke that he's got like a can of sardine oil or something like this. I mean, but it's, so now he is going to try to mark some territory on her. So, but yeah, so when we built this place, we had volunteers come on out there, and you know, it took us an entire summer. It was in summer of 2007, so I think that was, we had this big drought going on. This is back when Lake Delton actually drained. Yeah, it was, yeah, we had flooding and everything. So when the town flooded, the town was under 6 feet of water. We were high and dry, which was really good. But yeah, so we had to do this. We had to have cranes come in here and do this. We had to take concrete saws and cut the holes in ourselves. We put every one of these screws in ourselves and stuff, and it took us an entire summer to do it. So, but it was well worth it, because when they first started the rescue, about 1.5 miles out of town, they were in fenced enclosures, and they would have cats on this side of the fence and cats on this side, so they would fight. So the reason the rescue is designed this way, there's like a 10-foot space between each of the enclosures. The cats can't reach each other, they can't fight, because some of the cats do get a little territorial. You'll see sometimes when we had Pebbles in here, the female lion, she didn't really like the tigers so much, and so she would chase up and down with the cats and everything like this. But they're pretty sociable with each other, and all that stuff. So we can go see if Bam Bam will come out, because especially if she walks around, you might get some good footage of the cats and stuff too. So yeah, we did this in summer of and then little by little we built the rescue up. So initially we didn't have this type of fencing here, and then eventually we got this little barrier just to kind of keep people away from the cats, because obviously there's always those people that you know, wish that they could touch the cats or anything like this. And our big thing is, you know, we don't take pictures with the cats. We don't let the public interact with the cat. It's obviously for safety issues for the people, but even safety issues for our cats and everything. So this is yeah.
So this fence isn't legal.
What's that?
You're saying you didn't legally have to do it. You just did.
We did it as a precaution, yeah, and everything like this. Because we're licensed. Here's the funny thing is, because we're open to the public, we have to be licensed. We're licensed by the USDA. We are a 501c3. But if Jeff and Jenny were to close their doors to the public, they would no longer have any regulations controlling what they did with their cats or how they took care of them and everything like this. So there's certain rules and restrictions we abide and follow for public safety and for animal safety like this. When the USDA comes by, we get a surprise inspection every year. We know they're gonna come, we just don't know when. So when someone from the USDA comes, they inspect everything. They look at every one of the cats. They look at the journals. So if you saw during the feeding tour how Jenny was taking notes, she's literally writing down if they had poop, how much poop they had, was it solid, was it runny, was it whatever. Does the cat have a limp? Oh, we noticed there's a scratch on her paw or something like this, or she's got a scratch on the nose. Oh, she hasn't been eating as much. There's notes on everything, even to who unlocked the lock. You know, she'll say, okay, you know, this person is the one who unlocked the lock. So this way, if the vet ever comes by and we say, hey, it looks like, you know, Bam Bam's 17 years old now, so he's starting to, every so often, you'll see him walk around with a little bit of a limp. The arthritis kind of starts to kick in. We put the pills inside their meat to kind of give them the comfort for the joint pain. But we can tell you to the day when we first started seeing Bam Bam walking around with a minor limp. And this way, if the vet has to come out here, we have a full record for our vet to come and do this. And the same thing with the USDA. If they come in here and they want to see medical records on every one of the cats, they want to see reports. They'll walk around the fences. They'll see if there's any. I mean, even if there's poop that looks like it's a day old, we can get fined to thousands of dollars. So we get a surprise inspection every year to make sure that the cats are in good health, to make sure that the enclosures are clean, to make sure that the meat room is sanitized and clean. So we house about, I don't even know. Well, we go through about like 5 tons of meat a month.
You said 5 tons?
5 tons on average a month and everything. So back when the rescue first started, we would take cows that passed away or that were stillborn or things like this, and we would have to cut up the cows, and we would feed this very large chunk of meat over the fence, and the cat would eat similar to how they ate in the wild, which is they would eat a bunch of meat and then make go like a week or so without eating. So how we feed now is we feed 5 to 6 days a week like this, the smaller amounts. It eliminates the risk of them twisting their stomachs. We can put daily vitamins on there. Plus, the cats see us every day. So a lot of times if you go to like a zoo, cat's going to stay far away because they're not associated to people very well. They don't acclimate. So here the cats see us, they want that attention. They'll come up and they'll say hi to us and everything like that. So it kind of regulates that. So yeah, every morning we have to prep meat. We have to go into the freezer. We pull out a big couple of these large barrels full of meat, and then we let it thaw, and then we'll cut it out. We make sure that there's no skewers, there's no strings, there's no plastic, there's no paper. Certain cats have to have certain foods. The older cats, we try to give larger pieces of meat. It's actually easier for them to eat the larger piece because they scissor through it and they just kind of swallow it. Some of the cats are a little bit more picky. These guys, Kaim and Aqua, are particularly garbage hounds, so we like that because sometimes if we get bacon or brats or ground meat, they'll eat whatever. They'll actually even eat salmon. But some of the cats are very picky. If it's not like red meat, they won't eat it. So they get steaks and ribeyes and pork roast and everything every day, and we have to kind of go through the meat and sift it out and stuff. So
that's one of my main questions is I can't believe there's no meats or vegetables in any of their diet.
yeah, their bodies have a way of processing. It's like your whole herbivore, omnivore, and carnivore type scenarios.
Right, but even bears are eating apples.
Yeah, they can. The way that their body is designed, the bears can actually process like the fruits and the vegetables, and they can live off of small meals. Like they're eating ants and everything, but at the same time they're eating fish and meat. So the big cat's body is designed to process only the meat. Now they're 100% carnivores. They don't eat plants or anything like this. No fruits or vegetables. But the way that hey Bam Bam, you gonna say hi?
Oh, nice.
He's probably gonna get some water. the way that they eat their process all their nutrients. Now here's the difference. In the wild, Bam Bam would make a kill and he would eat every part of that animal. He'd eat the bones and the guts and the intestines. So the different parts of the body's animal provides different nutrients, like your calciums and everything like this. Because the cats here are fed a pure protein diet of pure meat, we have to add those supplemental vitamins for them. Because a lot of the people that have cats, like when Kai's case, when he came to us, he was actually even worse was Kenya. Kenya was highly malnourished and didn't get a very good calcium diet. So she's missing a lot of her canine teeth. But luckily for her, she doesn't have to hunt or make the kills, so she doesn't need those front canine teeth. She scissors through it. But a lot of people will get these animals and they just feed it meat, thinking, well, that's what it does. It eats meat, and they don't give them the vitamins and nutrients. So these cats grow up with health deficiencies and arthritis problems and stuff. So we add a vitamin mist. It looks like a bunch of seasonings right onto the meat.
And what kind of vitamins are those?
Your vitamin C's. I don't actually. I think it's called like a KMR blend. You'd have to get the specific from Jenny. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's specifically balanced for these cats.
Okay.
And everything. So we get a special order and everything, and we just sprinkle it on.
And
then
who's that through?
you'd have to ask her again too. I'm not sure the company she
Okay.
gets them from and stuff. But same thing. Like we'll get like if what is that stuff that you get for like joint pain? Chondroitin, glucosamine, I think it is. We'll actually, because the cats will get arthritis pains as they get older, so we'll stuff those pills in the meat and make sure they kind of get those treatments for them and everything then too. So
Okay, so that's their diet, and you got that, and it's covered through that. You said it was covered through a food.
So we try to get our food through a company called Feeding America. And how this works is, we'll see if we can maybe get some of the other cats here then too. If we come by, depending on, I gotta watch where he is. It looks like he's in the back. Khan will sneak up out of nowhere. I got this great footage of Khan in the wintertime stalking me, and nobody can ever find him. And he's got his eyes above the tire line, and I'm just watching him with the camera, and I'm like, if you haven't found the tiger stalking me, here he is. And I just do this, and he jumps out from the tire to attack me. Well, of course, I'm not close to the fence at all, but then nobody ever finds him. So I play the video again, and I'll show him there's his eyes the whole time, just peeking right up above his thing. So, oh, we might see, is he gonna come out? Nah. Bam Bam, you wanna say hi? Come on, Bam Bam. Oh. We'll see if we can get him up closer. Come on, Bam Bam. Come on. Oh, yeah. You want to come on up? Come on. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. So you got to be really careful with this guy because he pushes so hard into the fence. You don't want to get your fingers trapped on this one. The owner, Jeff, used to go in with him all the time and everything. Like I said, to see Jeff with the animals is just, it's something amazing because the way they respond to him so well. So, but yeah, with Khan particularly, I have to keep an eye out for him because I can't get close to him at all. So you were talking about, the food. So through Feeding America, we get our food now. COVID created a big problem with everything too because so many of the food sources were shut down. I just gotta make sure I'm watching him. And so we get their food. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to handpick the meat ourselves. So there are times we get these big watermelon crates full of food that we can't even use. It's full of chicken gizzards or skewered meat or cooked hams, things that the cats won't eat. And so we'll literally pay for this big thing of meat and throw it all away because we can't use it. So we have to sift through the meat and get the food that's very specific for the cats and everything. And so sometimes when we buy a half a shipment, we get lucky, we get tons of steaks and big chickens and everything like this. Things that help us with our feeding is in the wintertime or come hunting season, we get the things with the deer, and that helps us immensely right there.
How much
too.
you said it was a half feeding? How much does that cost?
Well, so we go through about 250 pounds of meat a day,
Right.
on average about 5 tons a month. Our monthly food bill is roughly around $8,000.
Okay. And that's for 20?
20 some cats right now. At our full capacity, I think we're capable of housing 30 or 32 cats
Okay.
at full capacity.
And
But
that's
right
your
now,
biggest monthly bill would be your food.
food is one of the biggest ones. Yep, and then our insurance. I don't know what they pay for their insurance or anything like this, but because we're regulated and licensed, we have to have insurance. And then of course our vet bill. Whenever our vet comes out here, I mean, it's to the tune of hundreds or thousands of dollars for a surgery or an operation for the cat. And then our one of our biggest expenses is four-wheelers. We literally go through four-wheelers almost every year.
And why is that? I see them circle around.
Yeah,
Seems
because
like
it's
they-
the heavy loads that they're carrying. So even though we get the type of four-wheelers that are designed to be workhorses, they're doing constant starting and stopping up and down a hill. They're carrying a big wagon full of meat or water, or in the springtime we're carrying the big barrelfuls of gravel to haul this stuff around. When we have to do a surgery with the cat, if we have to bring the cat up to the barn for surgery, we got to load the cat up onto the trailer, and obviously we have to have the cat sedated. And when you sedate a 500-pound cat, it takes 5 or 6 of us to load the cat up onto there. And we have to be very quick about it, because when a cat is sedated, they're not able to regulate their body temperatures or anything like this. And so we have to really be careful about all of that too. So as little as possible, we try to never sedate the cat, because especially as they get older, there's a chance the cat might not come out of sedation.
And then as far as like costs go, the beginning cost is going to be obviously your biggest cost ever.
Yeah,
Putting up,
it was
finding the poles.
several hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this
What
place
was
started
what
up.
was their start on?
I don't know the exact dollar amount. We were able to get some private funding from a startup. There was a gentleman that I was connected with down in New Orleans when I had been living in there. I had been living in New Orleans working in films, and when Katrina hit, I moved back up to Wisconsin. And so through a connection that I had, we found somebody that was financially able to help sponsor this rescue. And he put in a donation, kind of a financial assistance with this, and I don't know the terms of their agreement to what they worked out, but he basically fronted the money to get this place started, and it was I think around $300,000 or $400,000 to get this place started. So when they first started the rescue, there were a lot of people advocating against it. There were people that were boycotting the rescue because they had fears of a cat getting out. You know, they have kids, and it's a logical fear. We have now we have tigers and lions in our backyard. What if one gets out, and what's going to happen to us? So there was a lot of logical fear. And then the other part was, are we going to be taking care of our animals or not? So initially, a lot of people in the area fought against us having a big cat rescue here. They just didn't want it. There was too much fear
And
and
how did
concern.
that, like, what are you just talking about, ladders, or they're physically
It was a
coming
lot
on
of
the
ladders. Yeah,
properties?
they did a lot of meetings. They had to prove themselves back, prove themselves worthy front and back and everything. They had to show the USDA this is how we're taking care of our animals. They came in and says, if you're going to have these animals, these are the guidelines you have to have. They have to have these perimeters. If you're going to have these cats, you have to have these enclosures built to these specifications.
And is that 16? I mean, this is more than.
Yeah, this is
16
more
feet.
than their vertical jump. In some cases, the fences are 15 to 16 feet high, so it's higher than their vertical jump is capable of doing, and their bodies aren't able to climb this type of a fence. Now,
But 16. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
16 feet. Is that the legal? What you're?
yeah, that was the
USDA
minimum requirements from the law that
is
says you have to
16
have
feet
that. Yeah.
for the- And lions and tigers.
Yep. Yeah, and then the case with the cats like the leopards that are capable of climbing this, they had to have enclosures on top of the. They had to have roofing on top of their enclosures.
And how do you reinforce that?
If you walk by, we took fence and we cut it in strips and did vertical, kind of created studs. So we had a bunch of beams that would come across. You'll be able to see it in Dozer's enclosure. When we built the thing up there, we put a bunch of vertical lines up there, kind of created a strut system. And then we had it all anchored together and everything like this. And it didn't really have to be load bearing as much as it was just stable, that it wouldn't collapse in on the cat or ever collapse or have a cold. But literally, they're strong enough. You can go up there, because we've had to. And when we first built it, we walked around on top. So they're pretty load bearing. So yeah, when they first started, they had to meet certain guidelines, standards. They said, if you're going to keep these cats here, these are the conditions. It's just kind of like
And there's
building.
price with that too.
There's
right?
a huge price with it. Like I said, to start this place, it was about $300,000 or $400,000, if I recall correctly.
Is that for everything? Does that include the land, or
That
did
was
they
in-
buy the land separately?
The land was separate, I believe. So
And do you know how much land we were on?
the rescue resides on 27 acres of land. The cats themselves reside about over 8 or 9 of those acres. So the remainder of the rescue is up there, where they have the cabins for rentals. It helps feed the income for the rescue. We also have our meat and prep rooms up there in the barn for storage and all of our equipment that we have to work with every day and stuff. So, and little by little, the place has seen improvements and everything. So we've been able to pave this area so vehicles can drive by. So if we have someone touring the rescue that's elderly or injured, they don't have to walk the whole thing. They can get in their vehicle and drive. This center here is a future grounds for an educational center. So what happened here is, you see how it's all fenced off and grown in. Years ago, they started to do this. They were in a situation where somebody was going to help them with the funding through it, and of course, a lot of people usually back out. But they had wiring run, they had plumbing run, they had everything set to go. The foundation was all set, And this was going to be the educational center right in there. So part of being this rescue is that we want to educate the public. We want to say, this is what this industry is like. These are what people do to these animals. This is what happens to these cats. And so we want to educate the public. We don't just take care of the cats. We try to educate public. We try to say, hey, look, next time you're at a circus or a state fair and you have that opportunity to pet a cat, a zoo, please don't do that. You know, they don't hide the fact that they started this, you know, before they started the rescue, they used to take pictures with their cats. They're very open about that. They're not proud of it, but it's what they did. And so when they realized what the industry was like, they stopped with that. They stopped with the pictures, and now we advocate against the taking of the pictures.
When you say they did pictures, I don't understand what that means.
So they had Bam Bam and his sister Pebbles and a tiger, a Siberian tiger named Thunder. And as cubs, they would set them up on a table, and people would stand behind the table, and they could put their hand on the cub or something like this, and people could take pictures with the cats. And they would make hundreds of dollars an hour doing this. But once they realized what it was doing to their cats, and then they researched the industry and saw what really happens to the cats in this industry, it was disgusting. I mean, because like I said, the cats, when they're a federal law steps in and says when they're about 8 to 12 weeks old, you can no longer use these cats for taking pictures.
Right.
So now you have an animal that was making you $400 or $500 an hour. You were feeding it a liquid diet. Well, now you don't get to make any money with this cat. You got to feed it meat. Meat's expensive. And so now it costs you money. So these people get rid of the cat. So one of three things happens. They either shoot the cat, kill it, you know, put it down. Because why? Yeah. You're lucky if they euthanize them. Sometimes they just put a bullet to them. But and then a lot of them will just try to sell them off to rescues or give them away, things like this. Or in the other case is they will breed them for more cats, which leads to a lot of inbreeding. So when they sell off the cats, a lot of it goes to the black market. A tiger, especially on the black market, can go for about $60,000 because they will
A live tiger, you said.
a dead tiger.
A dead tiger.
It's worth more dead than it is alive because they will scrap out every single part of that cat, from the whiskers to the bones, the meat, everything of that cat gets scrapped out, and they make about $60,000 on this black market.
Now, how much would they cost them to get a live one?
You could go online right now and buy a cat. Sometimes you can buy one
go
for
online,
$1,000. Oh yeah,
Amazon.com?
yeah, Amazon.com, or not, probably not Amazon, but somewhere on Google you can find it. So it's pretty much as easy as buying a purebred dog. You want a purebred dog? Go online and find somebody who's breeding it. And there are people that are breeding these things.
In the United States?
Yes, yeah, Wisconsin especially too, because Wisconsin's one of 3 states that's still legally allowed to own these cats. So you as a private person could still legally go out and own this cat if you live in Wisconsin. There's certain zoning restrictions that we have to follow. Like I said, oddly enough, we can't have goats or roosters on our land, but we can have tigers and
I'm
lions.
totally surprised you can't have goats because there are, like in the Minocqua
Yeah.
rescue, they'll have the goats and the pigs.
Yeah.
there.
Zoning in this area, we can't have them and stuff. So it's kind of different on that part. But so the educational center, the purpose of that is to help us educate the public. Whenever we do tours, we're trying to tell people not just about our cats, but the purpose and how we get our cats and the type of lives these animals live. So that way, people, that the next time they go to a zoo or a circus and they're saying, hey, take the pictures, hopefully these people don't. Because then if people stop making money off these cats, they'll stop trying to breed them for that purpose. I think the one good thing that came from the documentary that had come out is that there's more awareness of what is like.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there that claim to be rescues, they claim to be zoos. They open up an LLC, these little family-owned roadside circuses and stuff. And though, like in the one case where we had a cat, he falsified the documents saying that she had been spayed. Well, he did this
to find
because,
out.
so that way he wasn't being interrogated
As
or
part of the
interviewed.
breeder.
Yeah, so this way it looked like he wasn't breeding, but in actuality he was. And the one that we had gotten shut down, he had over 200 to 300 cats he had sold on the black market and stuff. So prior to us coming in and getting him shut down. So.
And that's when you talk about the line.
Should we wrap this up and then you guys want to take this conversation offline?
It's entirely up to you. Do you want to see some more footage? Do you want to get? Okay, you got
I
plenty.
think we
Okay.
got footage. I just got like so kind of my
All right, let's do one
Do
last
you want
wrap
to
up
take
question.
yeah. So like my question is, if you wanted to start your own nonprofit
Mhm.
and have lions and tigers, how would you do it? And like you said, the show that was on Netflix, you
Yeah.
said that might have hurt and it also helped, but I think it brought a lot of exposure.
It exposed a lot of people to what was really happening
Right,
to these
the
animals.
so-called rescues.
Yeah, people
And
that
how do you have good rescues now?
How do you tell the difference between the two of them? A big thing is we're very transparent. We're open to the public. people can come here, they can see how the cats look. You can get, you know, with these feeding tours that we do, you get
Right.
6 to 8 feet away from the cats. You see how the cats interact with us. These animals aren't going to respond well with us if we're abusing them, neglecting them, things like this. These cats come up and they greet us, they chuff, we can pet some of them. So you see that type of interaction, you see the health conditions of the cat. You know that when you see a cat like Diamond, who has a little bit of a limp right now, that our vet was contacted, came in, inspected her, things like this. So,
Right.
so that's a big thing. If you were going to start this up, it'd be the same processes. You know, obviously it's a matter of securing the land in an area that's separated. So if there was ever the threat of a cat escaping, you're in a more rural area, so it's less threat of a public safety issue.
Yeah.
But you look at the quality of the housing quality. So the big thing for us when the USDA came in and we got licensed by them is you have these guidelines to follow. You have to have enclosures that are at least this high, at least this deep into the ground. You have to have this type of steel that's going to withstand weather, a falling tree, a 500-pound animal that wants to pounce or jump, things like this. Then it's the quality of the meat care and the conditions. So our meat room is this big semi-trailer that's a big walk-in trailer, and it contains thousands and thousands of pounds of meat at any given time that has to stay frozen. And then we have to have our meat room or sanitized. We have just like your typical kitchen for human quality eating, we have the same setup for that and everything. The vet care, we have to
So
have
that might
somebody
be your
licensed
second biggest cost would be that building to house.
to house the meat and everything, because you have to keep the meat cold and frozen, obviously, for preserving it. And then it has to be thawed in a sanitary room where there's not going to be any mice or rodents or anything that can get into it. We have to be able to clean and sanitize the room when we're done prepping the meat. We have to have a proper way of disposing leftover meat and cardboard and all this stuff. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes where we always, like I said, we make jokes. Like people say, oh, it's so glamorous to work with tigers and lions. And glamorous isn't the word I would use. I would use like amazing and profound, but not glamorous, because you know we're picking up tiger poop and sweating and you know.
Keeping a wild animal.
Yeah, it's a wild. It's like I always tell people it's a lot like farming, but with very dangerous animals.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, our big goal is to educate. And like I said, eventually we get the funding for it. We want to get that building built so we actually can have information about what these animals go through. 2 of the cats that passed away, we did have a taxidermist stuff them. We had an Atlas lion. His name was Beamer, and he was massive. He made Bam Bam look like a cub. And so we wanted people to see the size of this magnificent animal, just see how it is in front and stuff. So people could get up close and see this animal. They can have imprints of their paws. They can see the size of the cat's paw versus their hand. They want to know about the history and the lifespan. But the big thing is not just, there's obviously that awareness. People know that tigers and lions are dangerous animals, but they also have that stigmata that they think of it just as a killer. And you see how these animals are. They have emotions, they have characteristics, just like your typical.
And they need to be pet.
Yeah, they need that attention and stuff like this. Who pets them is very, very particular of. Like I said, I'm fortunate. I've been with them for 15 years. They allow me that interaction because I follow their rules. If I was to start getting careless and pet a cat and not be looking, they'll take that right away from me right away. But we don't let our interns use them, touch them or anything like that. But the daily interaction with the cats is really important because it gives
The
them
most
a quality
important,
of life.
I would assume it's the most
Yeah,
important thing that you guys
it's
do.
a huge thing because you see the way the cats interact with us. The quality of life for them is everything. These cats, some of them were forced to perform. Some of them would get poked and prodded to roar for the audiences because everybody gets, ooh, look at that cat, it's roaring. And it's an impressive thing to see tigers fighting and stuff. So here, when people come to the rescue, we tell them one of the first things we say is we can't guarantee you're going to see all of our cats. They do whatever they feel like doing, and if a cat wants to sleep, we're going to let it sleep. So people will come here on 100-degree weather sometimes in the middle of July, and they'll say, man, I only saw 3 or 4 of your cats. I'm like, well, that's because they're all sleeping, and we're not going to make them perform for you. So
Which
we
is
always,
fine, right?
yeah,
That's why
exactly,
you're just a rescue.
yeah. We're
You're
not
not
a
a
zoo.
zoo.
Yeah,
You're
we're
not
not a
here to
zoo.
entertain.
Yeah, we're strictly a rescue. So we have had cats that were born here, and we talked about how it was either accidental breedings or they were pregnant during the rescue.
Okay,
But
so to interrupt you,
sure.
saying that, like, thank you a lot for your time. How many more rescues like this do we need? Like, do you think we need 100 more, or do you think it's like we need to double the amount of rescues, or even maybe triple? Like for right now, I
Yeah.
think the numbers are there's like I'm more researching the dogs and cats
Okay.
rescues. So
Yeah.
they're talking about there's 3,500 like sanctuaries, something like this, where they can physically run around, as
Yeah.
opposed to a Humane Society where they're in
Yeah.
a cage and occasionally they get walked.
yeah,
So there's 3,500 of those, but there's 14,000
Yeah.
rescues,
yeah.
which
That's just, yeah, when it comes to the big cats, there are more big cats alive in captivity than there are in the wild. So personally, my ambition, I would love to see more programs involved that are actually protecting their natural lands, because as a human population, we just keep growing and growing and growing. We're taking away more of that natural land that they have, which necessitates the need for places like us. So personally, I would love it if there was more programs involved to just protect the lands that these cats have available.
That would be step one.
Yes, that would be a huge thing. The other thing would be regulations. This is a big thing. So many people have these cats, they're not regulated. Nobody comes in and monitors the health and the condition of the cat. They don't see the size of the enclosure. We had 2 leopards that shared a 3x6 enclosure for 3 years of their lives before they came here to this. It took us 7 hours to get them out of that lockout into their home because their whole life was this 3x6 cage.
And sometimes it takes a day or two.
Yeah, so for us, it would be about regulations, saying, hey, look, if you're going to have these cats, what is your purpose? Are you trying to make money off of them? Are you trying to preserve them, give them a good life? For us, we have some of the largest enclosures in the country. These cats have room to run around. They have trees to hide in and things to play with, pools to swim in. They get quality meat every single day. They get vet care. So if you're going to have these cats, my big thing is, what is your intention? Are you here to make money off of these animals, or are you here to educate people and help them out?
Or do both.
Or do both,
I
yeah.
mean, there is a way
you
to
know.
make money
Oh, yeah.
on your rescue
Yeah.
that doesn't include harming the animal.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, everybody has that right to have an income and a living and everything
Right.
like this too. And if you're dedicating your life, you have to have an income to pay your bills and your food and everything else too. But the main thing is the quality of life for the cats. Because again, you see a lot of these roadside zoos that claim to be a zoo or they claim to be a rescue. They put up the LLC front, and then you see the behind the scenes stuff and how the animals are mistreated and abused.
But
And
that's more about the USDA not doing their follow-ups. If they have to come there once
the,
a year.
the problem is a lot of these places the USDA doesn't even know about. They do this kind of secretly. So this is how some of the cats came to us, is that nobody was informed that these people even had this cat. So should a cat escape, what happens then, or something like this? Or the USDA is not even aware that this person has these cats, so they're not there to do the monitoring and the checkups for them and stuff. So the big thing is to pass that legislation out there that says if you're going to have these cats, they need to be registered. The public needs to be aware that you have these animals, because they are dangerous, regardless of the fact that they're born in captivity.
And which is the law, they just isn't
Yeah,
being followed.
exactly, yeah. And so people get away with this, and then money buys deeper pockets, or things like that is how it could be.
Well, how many more of these do we need? Like, how many do we need in Wisconsin? How many do we need in the United States? Like, at rough estimates, you said there was one that had 200?
Yeah, there's one guy that we had gotten his place shut down. He had bred over 200 cats, not for raising but for sale. He sold them on the black market and stuff.
So if you hold 20 apiece, you're talking about you need 10 more just for his.
Yeah,
that he had.
exactly, yeah. So, and our goal is we could expand. There's opportunities for this rescue to expand. There's actually like 80 acres of land that's for sale that we would love to be able to buy. One of our goals was to be able to give these cat acre-sized enclosures, give them an entire acre of land. And again, the cats, they're not here to be on display. We let people come here because it helps us fund the rescue and stuff like this. But if you come here and Bam Bam's in his back enclosure, I'm sorry, you don't get to see Bam Bam today because he's taking a nap and he's trying to stay cool. So if we were able to provide these cats with an acre of land per group or cat and stuff, man, that would be wonderful for them. And you might come here and there might be a cat way far away, but we're letting it live a good life.
Right.
And
But
stuff,
I think what Nathan's saying is that if it was regulated, that guy wouldn't have 200 cats.
Right.
Hence, you don't need the goddamn 2,000 more rescues.
Yeah, because part of the
You just need-
regulation,
you just-
part of the regulation means that these guys can breed as many cats as they want, and the more cats you have, the more rescues you need to house these. So if they were regulated, they wouldn't be able to breed these
But I would
cats.
assume that certain states are and certain
Yeah.
states aren't.
Yeah,
And
certain states follow those rules, and then some don't. Wisconsin is one of
it's
3
like,
remaining
like Texas
states.
with the dog problem. There's a huge dog problem in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
They're saying close to 80 million.
Oh, geez, yeah, it's horrible. I've seen some things like that. I didn't know it was that bad though.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
mean,
just
like, and then the
mental.
numbers where they. So my big thing is like we got to cut down on the euthanizations. We have to have
Yeah.
more startups.
Mhm.
And I don't think like as far as cats and dogs go,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to get out the word that even the humane societies like are far below the standards that I
Yeah.
accept.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
I want to fund. I won't
Yeah.
give the humane societies money because I see what they do. They have a limited number.
Yeah.
They have 50 spots to fill.
Yeah.
When 51 comes in, somebody has to leave.
Right.
And
Yep.
you're either getting rid of them to another humane society, which
Yeah.
puts a date on their neck,
Yeah.
or they're going to euthanize it at that place.
Yeah.
And so even the no-kill ones that we have in like Miami, Milwaukee, the bigger cities,
Yeah.
they're like, oh great, it's a no-kill.
Yeah.
Well, until you send it to your suburb one that is a kill facility.
Yeah.
Or your no-kill doesn't take in animals
Right.
that actually need to be rescued because they don't know what the chance is, and they don't want to take the chance that
Yeah.
they have to euthanize it,
Yeah.
or take the chance of the big bills that it would take to rescue it.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually just say no to more animals.
Yeah, and that's
to
been
keep their numbers.
Yeah, and that's with in our situation. In the 15 years that I've been helping them out, they've had to turn down over 200 cats, not because they
And
didn't
it's
want
gonna
them.
be 400.
Yeah,
in
exactly,
5 years.
exactly, and it's not because they didn't want these animals. We just didn't have the housing capabilities to feed them and to, provide a safe place for them, because they have to have a certain amount of land and have to have the hutches and the lockouts and the fencing. These are each $20,000 a piece to build, so it's quite the undertaking for that. And then the cost
20,000 per pen.
per enclosure, about $20,000 per enclosure to build.
At this size, and then at your acre size, I'm sure that
Yeah,
would double.
cost of land and everything else, and then the cost of meat
Right.
now. So it's the cost, and what we're never going to do. We're never just going to be like, yeah, give us all the cats, because all of a sudden we're in a situation where we have 100 cats, which we don't even have the ability to house,
Well, then you'd
but
be
they
there
won't have the money to
twenty,
feed
right,
them
right.
and stuff. So now these cats are getting undernourished. So we never take in more cats than we know we can properly care for. And that's a big thing. And it's kind of heartbreaking when we've had calls like there's 6 cats that need a place, and we're like, we just don't have the money or the housing for them right now. We won't separate a cat. If we do a rescue and there's 6 cats that work together, we'll keep those cats together, because we don't want to pull them apart. They've developed a social group with each other. So the big thing is getting the word out there to regulate these owners so that they're not breeding them, because when they're not breeding these cats for the purpose of sale and making money on them, then it controls the populations and there's less of a need for these rescues. It would be better if the people that are claiming to be zoos and claiming to be rescues actually were more transparent like us and says, here's the documentation of how we got this cat, here's its food, here's its nutritional program, here's its daily routine, here's the quality of its pen, here's our vet, things like this. And then if people are going to be breeding, I think it needs to be for the purpose of reanimation into the wild. That you do these places where you see like there's a cat that was wild and it got hurt or injured through poaching or some
Right,
an
yeah.
attack from another animal.
The numbers in Africa are so really low.
Yeah, it's huge. And
They're low.
Oh,
Like
I'm
you
sorry.
said,
Yeah.
There's more in captivity.
Yeah, more in
than there are
captivity
the
and wild. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's because these poaching and
Yeah.
the wildlife hunters that are going
Yeah.
out there.
So if you are going to take a wild animal and then rehabilitate it with the hope of getting it back into wild, that's a one thing too. But the problem with breeding a cat is when you breed a cat, it doesn't have parents teaching it how to hunt. So you can't breed these cats and then say, hey, I bred 20 tigers, let's go launch them in the wilderness somewhere, because these 20 cats don't know how to hunt now. So if you're breeding these cats, then they need to be in an environment where there's a parent teaching this animal how to hunt and everything like this. And so that's the problem with the breeders, is when you're breeding these cats in captivity, you're creating a bigger problem, because now you have animals that are forced to live in captivity. These cats could never be put into the wild because they were never taught how to hunt and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Alright,
that's
wrap it up, Josh.
That's
Say
basically all
thanks.
my questions. Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
yeah,
Thank you a lot.
no
Josh.
problem. Yeah, I appreciate your time and coming
Yeah.
out here. So.
Okay, I'm cutting.